Hello, welcome everybody to this episode of Marathon Revision. We are again doing amazing revision for the upcoming NET exam. Those who are preparing for any exam can listen to us and brush up your knowledge. We have here with us a lot of students from our paid course. So many of them, 87 people now. It's going to be 100, it's going to be 120. And they're all preparing well. They are little anxious, but that is normal. I keep telling them to calm down, to be happy, to take it easy, because in the exam hall, what matters most is your presence of mind and your, vision will become clear. Your thinking will become clear if you are not pressurized. So that is how we are preparing here at Vallath. Today we are going to talk about British literature, and Ankita is here with me. Ankita,
Yes,
you take over and ask a few questions, and then I'll ask. Like that, we'll both
okay.
ask.
Yes. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session. So, as ma'am told you, now we are going to revise British literature. All right, are you all ready? Yes. So, let's get started. Yes, good evening, good evening. Chalo. So, who lived in the island of Lesbos? Good evening. Which contemporary of Homer lived in the island of Lesbos? It is Sappho. It is Sappho. Correct. Next, tell me, let's do some really important questions from net JRF perspective. Okay, let's look at this question. Which work is universally credited with initiating the Greek tradition of didactic poetry, detailing the origins of the cosmos and the genealogies of the gods? Because obviously we can expect some questions from this Greco-Roman classicism, right? So which work is it going to be? Yes, correct. It is option A, Theogony by Hesiod. Theogony by Hesiod. Option A is the correct answer. Theogony by Hesiod, who also wrote a very famous work called Works and Days. Works and Days mostly talks about agriculture. Agriculture. And Theogony by Hesiod is an example of didactic poetry, which details the origins of the cosmos and the genealogies of the gods. All right. So, who are Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides? Who are they? Who are Aeschylus, Sophocles, and Euripides? They are Greek tragedians. They're Greek tragedians. And who was Aristophanes? Who was Aristophanes? He was a Greek comedy writer. He wrote comedies. He practiced old comedies or new comedies. He practiced old comedies or new comedies, old comedies. So, who practiced new comedies in the Roman classical era? Who practiced new comedies in the Roman classical era? It was Menander, and also Plautus and Terence. Plautus and Terence. Who wrote on the Sublime? It's a treatise by Longinus. Longinus, Horace, Ovid, Seneca. They were in which period? Longinus, Ovid. Yes, they were in the Roman classical period. Roman classical period. Right? Ars Poetica is by whom? Ars Poetica. It's by Horace. Horace. Who wrote Ars Amatoria, which later became a great source for many Elizabethan playwrights and authors? That's by Ovid. Ovid, who also wrote Metamorphoses. Who also wrote Metamorphoses. Theocritus and Virgil are widely considered as the pioneers of what? Theocritus and Virgil are widely considered as the pioneers of pastoral poetry. Pastoral poetry, correct. What are the 5 sources of sublimity according to Longinus? What are the 5 sources of sublimity according to Longinus? Correct. Grand thought, grandeur of thought, vehement passions, grandeur of thought, vehement passions, then dignified composition, diction, yes, and noble diction, yes, correct. 5 sources of sublimity according to Longinus. Longinus, right? Grendel is a character in which work? Grendel, Beowulf, Beowulf. Who translated Beowulf into English in 1999? Seamus Heaney, the Irish poet. Seamus Heaney, the Irish poet. Who wrote on the consolation of philosophy? Who wrote on the consolation of philosophy? Boethius. Boethius wrote, yes, on the consolation of philosophy. Right. Let's look at this question. Which lyric poet is renowned for establishing complex metrical structures, strophe, antistrophe, and epode, and celebrating Olympic victors? It is Pindar. Pindar. Very good. It is Pindar. Right. Next, tell me. It is Pindar. Okay. Is Medea a revenge tragedy? Is Medea a revenge tragedy? Yes, by Euripides. The play Medea, celebrated for its psychological realism and complex female protagonist, was authored by Euripides. Euripides. That's correct. Next, tell me, this is a PYQ because questions often came from Aristophanes. Aristophanes' Lysistrata is a prominent example of which genre of ancient Greek drama? Aristophanes' Lysistrata is a prominent example of which genre of ancient Greek drama? It is old comedy. Old comedy. Correct. Next, tell me this one. Again, it's a PYQ. Even in the last net exam which happened in this January, they asked a question from Ars Poetica, right? So, Horace, Ovid, they are very important. Tell me this one. Correct. In the context of Horace's Ars Poetica. Yes, it is B. B. In the context of Horace's Ars Poetica, what does the famous dictum at pictura poesis imply? It means poetry is as painting, meaning it should be visually evocative. At pictura poesis, a phrase which Horace talked about in his book Ars Poetica. Ars Poetica, right? Okay. Next, tell me. Yes, this can be important. Let's look at this one. Who wrote Antigone and Oedipus Rex? Simple question. Who wrote Antigone and Oedipus Rex? Sophocles. Sophocles. This is again a question which came in one of the set exams recently. Take a look at it. In the context of ancient drama, a satyr play was designed to what? What was the purpose of a satyr play in ancient drama? Yes, to provide comic relief after a trilogy of tragedies. After a trilogy of tragedies. That's correct. That's correct. Next, tell me this one. Okay. The Elizabethan world picture is a critical work on the Renaissance period by whom? E.M.W. Tilliard. E.M.W. Tilliard. Correct. E.M.W. Tilliard. Okay. Now, I will tell you the names of some characters because they can ask you match the following. You tell me these characters are in which plays. Malvolio, a Puritan. Malvolio, a Puritan. 12th Night or What You Will. 12th Night or What You Will. Puck. Puck is a character in Midsummer Night's Dream. Midsummer Night's Dream. Correct. Correct. Midsummer Night's Dream. Then tell me. Yes. Claudio, Don Pedro. Their characters in Claudio, Don Pedro. Their characters in Much ado about nothing. Much ado about nothing. Correct. Correct. Next, tell me. William Painter's The Palace of Pleasure, which is a translation from Boccaccio's Decameron. This becomes a source for which play of Shakespeare? William Painter's The Palace of Pleasure, which is a translation from Boccaccio's Decameron. It becomes a source for all is well that ends well. All is well that ends well. Which work of Thomas Lodge inspired As You Like It? Because they can ask you in statement form the sources of these works, right? Thomas Lodge's prose romance Rosalind was one of the major sources for this pastoral romantic comedy called As You Like It. As You Like It. Okay. Which are the dark comedies or problem plays of Shakespeare? Tell me all the names of the dark comedies or problem plays of Shakespeare. Because they can ask you questions like, which among the following is not a problem play by Shakespeare? So, which are the dark comedies or problem plays of Shakespeare? All is well that ends well, Measure for Measure, Troilus and Cressida. Correct. Correct.
Can I?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Ankita has been asking you from early British literature. She will continue to ask from 17th, 18th centuries. But I am going into some modern writers. Um, have you heard of George Orwell Prize? Is it given for dystopian novels, political novels, or gender based novels? George Orwell's George Orwell Prize is given for political novels. Political novels. Um, George Orwell Prize was once given to a book called Summer. Summer. Do you know the author? Such prizes are important, they can ask. Summer by Ali Smith. Ali Smith. It's a woman. Ali. Ali. Then this one you might remember. It's more famous. Milkman. Milkman. You could look up the prices, okay? So that, in the last 1 or 2 days, these things you should do. Milkman is by Anna Burns. Anna Burns. That's right. There are other important prizes like Hawthornden Prize, James Tate Black Memorial Prize. Uh, if you just Google for British literature prizes, American literature prizes, you will see literary prizes and awards. You will see all of that. Uh, do you know one important writer? Her sister is also a writer. She wrote the children's book, a novel called Children's Book. It is a novel about interrelated families of children, and it is based on the life of E. Nesbit. It is A.S. Byatt. A.S. Byatt wrote the children's book. So, when you check out these prizes and awards, when there are books that you already have, authors you have heard of, you'll remember them. Have you heard of the Demon Copperhead? Very famous writer. Very famous writer. The Demon Copperhead, a Poison Wood Bible. Have you heard of this? It is Barbara Kingsolver, correct. Barbara Kingsolver. It's American, not British, but still. Because I'm talking about awards and prizes, I mentioned her. This morning in our quiz with the paid course people, I was asking who is the author of Hawksmoor? Do you remember? Hawksmoor, The Last Testament of Oscar Wilde, Queer City, uh, The History of England, London. Yes, it is Peter Ackroyd. Peter Ackroyd. Do you know in which novel do you have the characters Mustafa Mond, Hemholtz Watson? It is set in the future. Mustafa Mond, Bernard. Have you any idea? The title is taken from The Tempest. Yes, it is Brave New World, inspired by the utopian novels of H.G. Wells. What are the utopian novels of H.G. Wells? Did H.G. Wells write a modern utopia? Yes. H.G. Wells wrote The Modern Utopia. Right. Did H.G. Wells write The Sleeper Wakes? Right. Yes. Who wrote Apocalypse? Is it H.G. Wells? It is Apocalypse is by D.H. Lawrence. And the New Apocalypse movement took its title from this book. Did you know H.G. Wells wrote The Shape of Things to Come? Such interesting books, they might ask you. The Shape of Things to Come. They are checking your general knowledge. They are in net exam and other such exams, gate and all. They are not expecting you to mug up and study everything in the world, but they are expecting you to read on your own, come across new things, right? General knowledge. So that's why. In Brave New World, there are artificial wombs, artificial birth of children. Do you remember? Alpha, betas, gammas, deltas, and epsilons are the classes. Right. I think you would remember. Talking about ancient worlds and modern worlds, I want to read out a passage and you should try to identify who said this. Okay? I will give you clues. Don't get worried, I will give you clues. There was a time in the ancient world, a very long time, in which the central cultural problem must have seemed an inexhaustible outpouring of books. In the ancient world, the central cultural problem must have seemed an inexhaustible outpouring of books. Where to put them all? How to organize them on the groaning shelves? How to hold the profusion of knowledge in one's head? It looks like it is still our problem. The loss of this plenitude would have been virtually inconceivable to anyone living in its midst. Who is talking about an ancient world like this? It is a theorist. I'm going to give you options. I mean, clues. It is a theorist. Obviously, he must be thinking about the medieval world, the Renaissance world, when books were written. And he is a theorist who showed how the world became modern. Can you guess who it is? Stephen Greenblatt. It is. Stephen Greenblatt's blockbuster book is there. The Swerve. Swerve. The Swerve. It is subtitled How the World Became Modern. So, Stephen Greenblatt is a blockbuster theorist. You still have time. Look him up. Okay. The How the World Became Modern. Will in the World also he wrote. Who wrote Shakespeare and the Invention of the Human? Shakespeare and the Invention of the Human? Yes, it is indeed Harold Bloom. Harold Bloom. Can you say that Thomas Pynchon's V is a postmodern novel? Yes. Italo Calvino, John Barth, Thomas Pynchon, Iris Murdoch. Which of these writers, who among these writers is not a postmodern writer in the sense of the others? Italo Calvino, John Barth, Thomas Pynchon, Iris Murdoch. This is based on a PYQ. It is Iris Murdoch. John Barth is a typical postmodern writer, early typical postmodern writer. Italo Calvino is John Barth is a pioneering postmodern writer. John Barth wrote Fabulism, remember? Okay. Uh, do you remember a novel called Holiday? Holiday. Do you know what is the importance of Holiday? Who is the author of Holiday? It is indeed Stanley Middleton. Stanley Middleton wrote Holiday. It got Booker Prize in 1974. What is unusual about it? Did anybody else get Booker Prize in that year? Shared Booker, correct. He shared Booker with Nadine Godimers, the conservationist. He shared his Booker with Nadine Godimers, the conservationist. Very good. Okay. Which poem of John Donne did Cleon Brooks, give us an example for paradox? That is right. Canonization is correct. Canonization is correct. Very good. The final chapter of Ulysses is an interior monologue by. The final chapter of Ulysses is like an interior monologue by. That's right. It is by Molly Bloom. Molly Bloom. Do you know who said poetry makes nothing happen? Who said poetry makes nothing happen? It is W.H. Auden. W.H. Auden. That's also PYQ. I'm just reminding you of PYQs. I'm going to tell you the names of some plays. Okay. You should tell me which of these is not a closet drama. Remember, for net, many questions will come based on genres and movements and styles. Okay. Please look that up. Is Samson Against Us a closet drama? Yes, it is. Is Atalanta in Calydon by A.C. Swinburne a closet drama? Yes, it is. Is Faust by Goethe a closet drama? Yes, it is. Is The Duchess of Malfi a closet drama? No, is it? It is not. You said it. Very good. Now, there was a PYQ that I need to tell you. You might not know this. There is a play called The Barretts of Wimpole Street. The Barretts, Elizabeth Barrett, that Barrett. The Barretts of Wimpole Street. It is based on the life of the Brownings. It was written in 1930. This is a PYQ. Do you know who is the author? Okay, I'll give you the options. Rudolph Bessier, Kate Chopin, Thomas Southern, Christopher Durang. ABCD. Rudolph Bessier, Kate Chopin, Thomas Southern, Christopher Durang. Why would you say Kate Chopin? Do you even know if Kate Chopin is a playwright? It is indeed Rudolph Bessier. Kate Chopin is given there to eliminate. Okay, Awakening is a novel. Okay. Which of the works by Charles Dickens is partly set in the United States? Which of the following works by Charles Dickens is partly set in the United States? You know that we are live on YouTube, right? So I have to go very fast, and please answer fast. Is it Barnaby Rudge, The Old Curiosity Shop, Martin Chuzzlewit? It is indeed Martin Chuzzlewit. In the morning in our paid course, I told you Mr. Pecksniff is in Martin Chuzzlewit. Mr. Pecksniff is in Martin Chuzzlewit. Very good. Right. Now, I'm going to give you a statement. The poem, if it be a true poem, is a simulacrum of reality. By being an experience rather than any mere statement about experience or any mere abstraction from experience. That means a poem should be an experience. It should be a simulacrum or representation of reality. Where is this statement from? The poem, if it be a true poem, is a simulacrum of reality. Where is the statement from? Is it the well-wrought urn, preface to lyrical ballads, the study of poetry? Yes, indeed. It is from the well-wrought urn. Those who are on YouTube, please read up on extra on whatever we are saying here. All right. I'm sure all of you have been studying, and our paid course students had a very good time. with lots and lots and lots of revision. We are very, very career oriented and result oriented. So we have more revisions than lectures, isn't it, Ankita? Right.
Yes.
Which of the following is not a poem by William Blake? Holy Thursday, The Little Boy Lost, The Divine Image, Peter Bell. It is Peter Bell, of course. Peter Bell is by Wordsworth, isn't it? Wordsworth. Very good. You're doing really well. I am proud of you. Uh, Now, Esperanto is an artificial language devised in 1887 based on European languages. Is it true? Is it true? This was a BYQ. It is true. Esperanto is an artificial language devised in 1887. It is an international medium of communication that was devised at that time based on European languages. Ludwig Zamenhof, it is written. Ludwig Zamenhof was the creator. Okay. G.B. Shaw loved, he was interested in artificial languages. True, but not Esperanto. The British writer Marjorie Bolton. Have you heard of Marjorie Bolton? She's a British writer. She was a candidate for Nobel Prize. Did you know she was an Esperanto poet? Marjorie Bolton was an Esperanto poet. Ludwig Zamenhof, Zamenhof, was the creator of Esperanto. All right, will you remember all this? So, who wrote The Swerve? How the World Became Modern? I asked from it because it is a PYQ. Yes. Stephen Greenblatt wrote The Swerve, How the World Became Modern. Who wrote When Species Meet? When Species Meet. That is by Donna Haraway. Donna Haraway. I'm going to tell you some works. A sort of clowning, a local habitation. Which theorist of CCCS wrote these works? PYQ. You can look up the minor works of these writers. It is Richard Hogarth. Please look up the minor works of these writers. A sort of clowning and a local habitation. Okay, let me ask you another question. Easy question, maybe. The examiner, the indicator, the reflector. Can you tell me who is the man who founded these journals? Leigh Hunt. That is right. You said it right. It is indeed Leigh Hunt. I'm so glad. Paid course students, you have no reason to be stressed because it's all there in your head. Slowly, slowly, it will come out. Okay, I'm going to give you one more quotation here. He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint. And all the reports on, on his conduct agree that in the modern sense of an old-fashioned word, he was a saint. For in everything he did serve the greater community. Which poem am I reading out? Which poem am I reading out? He was found by the Bureau of Statistics to be one against whom there was no official complaint. Yes, it is The Unknown Citizen by W.H. Auden. The Unknown Citizen by W.H. Auden. Very good. I am proud of you. Then, other there are whose malice we would prevent, such who watch plays with scurrilous intent, to mark out who by characters are meant. These with false glosses feed their own ill nature and turn to libel what was meant a satire. So he is talking about malicious people, somebody. It is an epilogue to one play. Okay. Is it Volpani, The Way of the World, or The Country Wife? It is indeed The Way of the World. Very good. It is epilogue to The Way of the World. Other there are whose malice we would prevent, such who watch plays with scurrilous intent, to mark out who by characters are meant. These with false glosses feed their own ill nature, and turn to libel what was meant to satire. What was meant a satire. Okay. Now, I am going to ask you a very simple, easy peasy question. Which novel begins thus? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times, it was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. You should also listen to me. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity, it was the season of light, it was the season of darkness, it was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. A Tale of Two Cities is absolutely right. A Tale of Two Cities. Are we doing well? Are you enjoying? Very good. That is our intention, isn't it, Ankita? Ankita, I'll ask a few
Yes.
more questions and then over to you again.
Okay, okay, yes.
The Cricket on the Hearth. Who's the author? The Cricket on the Hearth. It's a short story by a very famous Victorian novelist, and that is none other than Charles Dickens. So, the Watsons and Lady Susan. The Watsons and Lady Susan, everybody would know. Works by Jane Austen. Jane Austen. Which of Charles Dickens' novels is like a detective story? There is even a detective there. It is Bleak House. It is Bleak House. By the way, who wrote Armadale? No Name. It is Wilkie Collins, correct. Wilkie Collins. Very good. Do you know? I'm going to tell you one sentence. You tell me whether it's right or wrong. Shakespeare, our contemporary, is by Jan Cott, Jankott. Along with typing, also write down all this, okay? Shakespeare, our contemporary, is by Jan Cott. True or false? True. Right when your exam is round the corner, why would I say such a false sentence? It is true. Reading Shakespeare historically is by Lisa Jardine. Is it true or false? Reading Shakespeare historically by Lisa Jardine is true. Absolutely. Absolutely. Very good. Uh, Political Shakespeare is by Caroline Spurgeon. Is it true? No, that is not true. Political Shakespeare is by Dollymore and Sinfield. Caroline Spurgeon wrote Shakespeare's Imagery and What It Tells Us. Shakespeare's Imagery and What It Tells Us. Okay, I'm telling you another sentence. Bonario and Celia are virtuous characters in Volpone. True or false? Bonario and Celia are virtuous characters in Volpone. True. Actually, they are like the only virtuous characters. There are also some judges called avocatori in Volpone. Now, I will ask you a question from PYQ. A Death in the Desert, which speaks about divine powers. Who is the author? A Death in the Desert. A Death in the Desert is by Robert Browning. A Death in the Desert speaks about divine powers. It is by Robert Browning. A Death in the Desert is by Robert Browning. Okay. One more question. William Taylor was the publisher of which famous novelist of the 18th century? He's sometimes even called the father of the English novel. Daniel Defoe was published by William Taylor. Daniel Defoe got his father of English novel coat stitched by William Taylor. Okay, that is the code. Daniel Defoe got his coat, father of the English novel coat, stitched by one Taylor. That is William Taylor. Jeremy Taylor is there. He was the adversary of Milton. He punched Milton with his needle. Okay. I'm just kidding. Don't take me seriously. Okay. I asked you about Richard Hogarth's minor works. I cannot repeat anything. We are YouTube live. You can watch the video again. Uh, okay. Raymond Williams. Is he the author of Resources of Hope or is it E.P. Thompson? Resources of Hope, Culture, Democracy, Socialism. Who wrote it? Who is the edit? Who wrote this collection of essays? It is Raymond Williams. Resources of Hope is by Raymond Williams. Edmund Kean, who was he? He was a 19th century Shakespearean actor. Edmund Kean was a 19th century Shakespearean actor. Ankita, do you think I should ask them a quote again?
Yes, that would be great, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. This quote is what they are feeling now. It is about their feeling now. I have known them already. Known them all. Where is this quote from? I have known them already. All these answers. Known them all. But you don't remember. It is indeed Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Correct. In Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, we have this line, I have known them already. Known them all. Okay. But you're like, Prufrock, you are not remembering every single thing, but that's okay. Do you know Lord Henry Wotton? He is a hedonist. That means he loves pleasure. That's a clue, okay? In which novel do you have Lord Henry Wotton? It is Picture of Dorian Gray, correct? Picture of Dorian Gray. Now, before the exam, you are feeling some existential angst, okay? I'm misleading you by saying existential. It is not Kafka or Sartre. Who, and you feel like this. Who said this? When we are born, we cry that we come to this great stage of fools. When we are born, we cry that we come to this great stage of fools. Where do you find this? King Lear, correct. It is Shakespeare. I love you all, my students. It is Shakespeare. Ha. Okay. You know that portrait of the artist as a young man is based on Icarus and Daedalus. Okay. In our net exam, once they asked, Icarus's mother is a surreal one-act play about the fear of flying. Which American writer wrote this? You know his buried child. He wrote Icarus's mother, one act play about the fear of flying. He also wrote Buried Child. It is Sam Shepard. Sam Shepard wrote Buried Child. Very good, Pugurandi, you said it. It is Sam Shepard who wrote Buried Child. Now, one of the pioneering feminist works is called Fear of Flying. Who wrote it? One pioneering feminist work is called Fear of Flying. Who wrote it? Erica Jong. Correct, Rikita. Rikta. Erica Jong is correct. Wonderful. Do you have any idea who wrote Good Friday 1613, Riding Westward, where man's soul is compared to a sphere? Good Friday 1613, Riding Westward, where man's soul is compared to a sphere. Ankita, John Donne. Ankita, when you teach, you should start showing some funny actions and all like this.
Yes. Okay, okay, yes.
Man's soul is compared to a sphere. Good Friday 1613, riding westward. You are riding and seeing man's soul like a sphere. That reminds me, who wrote Corinna's Going a Maying? Corinna is going. Corinna is going a Maying. In Malayalam, we say Menyu Nadakka. That means just wandering and, you know. It is Robert Herrick. Corinna's Going a Maying. Upon Julia's Clothes. These are all PYQs. Robert Herrick's poems. Okay, okay, okay. Do you know who wrote The Role of the Reader, On Literature, How to Write a Thesis? Now you know. Umberto Eco, indeed. Umberto Eco wrote The Role of the Reader, On Literature, How to Write a Thesis. Very good. Ankita, can you take over?
Yes,
I will
yes.
make you the host and I will leave for
Okay,
now.
okay. So, ma'am was just asking you a question from John Donne. Tell me, this came recently in one of the set exams. It's a very interesting work. Which work by John Donne defends suicide? Which work by John Donne defends suicide? It's actually a prose treatise by John Donne that defends suicide. It is Bia Thanatos. Yes, John Donne defends suicide in his prose work Bia Thanatos, written in 1608. 1608. Okay, now I will ask you a quote. You tell me this is a quote from which play. Okay, ready? Oh, yes, yes. Oh, yeah, yeah. I forgot to. Okay. Now you can see me, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes. So now I'm asking you some quotes. You tell me this quote is from which play? That this quote is from which play? Right. By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. It's a line from which play? By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. It's from Macbeth. It's from Macbeth. Now, let me show you something really nice. Wait. And I think I had shared this with you. And I think this will be a great thing. We will just take 5 minutes in this because we know that NTA can ask you what? Chronology of Shakespearean plays. Let's do a 5 minutes exercise. Can you all see my screen? Can you all see my screen? Yes. So, which play came first? Hamlet or Macbeth? Which play came first, Hamlet or Macbeth? Yes, Hamlet. Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth. Hamlet, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth. Correct. The Two Gentlemen of Verona, The Taming of the Shrew, Henry VI, Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Titus Andronicus, Richard III, The Comedy of Errors, Love's Labour's Lost, Romeo and Juliet, A Midsummer Night's Dream, uh, Richard II, King John. These are the early comedies and histories of Shakespeare. These are the early comedies and histories of Shakespeare. I'm showing you the list so that you can have a visual map here. You will never go wrong in chronology because in chronology, you just have to arrange which play came after which one. Okay? So these are the early comedies or histories of Shakespeare. Then in the middle period of his career, he wrote more histories and mature comedies like The Merchant of Venice, Henry IV, Part 1, Part 2, Much Ado About Nothing, Henry V, Julius Caesar, As You Like It, Twelfth Night, Hamlet. This was in the middle part of his career. Zoom in. Okay, I will try. आइयो आइयो बहुत ज्यादा zoom हो गया. I think this one is fine. Now I think you can see Shivani, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Then this came in the middle period. Then came his great tragedies and dark comedies, like the Merry Wives of Windsor, Troilus and Cresside, All Is Well That Ends Well, Measure for Measure, Othello, King Lear, Macbeth, Antony and Cleopatra, Coriolanus, Demon of Athens. And these are the late romances written towards the very end of his career. Pericles, Cymbeline, The Winter's Tale, The Tempest, Henry VIII, The Two Noble Kinsmen. So this is, if you just remember this thing visually, you will never go wrong with chronology. That which play comes after which one. Okay? Do you want me to share this thing with you? I will share it after the session in the groups. Don't worry at all. I will share this in the groups. All the groups of net. Don't worry at all. Then, chalo. Next, tell me this one. I will send it, no worries. Who authored the political pamphlet, The character of a trimmer, which advocated for moderation in the fierce Whig and Tory conflicts. Yes, Sampreet, it is by George Savile. George Savile, that's correct. Next, tell me this one. It is also a PYQ from West Bengal set. Which among the following plays by Thomas Otway is a prominent example of tale of she tragedy? Tale of she tragedy. Correct. Very good. It is The Orphan. Option A, The Orphan. A. The Orphan. All right, yeah. I was giving you time, that's why. I wanted at least some of you to realize that, okay, it is not Venice Preserve. Okay. Next question, be careful. In Dryden's Absalom and Achitophel, what historical figure is allegorized as Zimri? Which historical figure is allegorized as Zimri? The Duke of Buckingham. The Duke of Buckingham. Correct. Next question, important. Which Restoration dramatist is credited with introducing the first heroic tragedy to the English stage? Sorry for my stammering though. Which Restoration dramatist is credited with introducing the first heroic tragedy to the English stage? It is B. Roger Boyle. Roger Boyle. Okay, right. So who wrote Orinoco? Who wrote Orinoco? It's by Afra Ben. Afra Ben. In Afra Ben's Orinoco, what is the name of the African kingdom from which Orinoco is kidnapped? From which Orinoco is kidnapped? From which Orinoco is kidnapped? A. Coromanthian. A. Coromanthian. A. Coromanthian. Now again a PYQ from a master's entrance exam. It's a good question, that's why. Jeremy Collier's A Short View of the Immorality and Profaneness of the English Stage, 1698, famously attacked which playwrights of the Restoration period? This antitheatrical pamphlet attacked which playwrights? Congreve and Wycherley. Congreve and Wycherley, correct. Option A, Congreve and Wycherley. Right. In Congreve's The Way of the World, what is the name of the servant who assists Mirabell and Mrs. Fainall's schemes? What is the name of the servant? Servants of literature are very important. D. Foible. D. Foible. D. Foible. Joseph and Zillah are servants in which work? Joseph and Zillah are servants in which work? Wuthering Heights. Wuthering Heights. Sam Weller is a servant in which work? Sam Weller is a servant in which work? The Pickwick Papers. The Pickwick Papers. Peggotty is a servant in which work? Peggotty is a servant in which work? David Copperfield. David Copperfield. David Copperfield was published in which year? David Copperfield was published in 1850. 1850. In 1850, which poem of D.G. Rossetti came out? In 1850, which poem of D.G. Rossetti came out? The Blessed Damozel. The Blessed Damozel. Do you know that this poem, The Blessed Damozel by D.G. Rossetti, was a response to which poem? It was an inverted response to which poem? Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven. That's correct. The PRB group was formed in which year? The PRB group was formed in which year? 1848. 1848. Correct. Now, this is an easy question. Was John Dryden the most influential author of the Restoration period? Yes. Yes. So, tell me this one. Which of Dryden's critical works is written in the form of a dialogue featuring Eugenius, Crites, Lycidius, and Neander? Very good. Of dramatic poesy, an essay of dramatic poesy. So Dryden's An Essay of Dramatic Poesy was published in which year? Dryden's An Essay of Dramatic Poesy was published in which year? 1668. 1668. Is this the year when he became the poet laureate? Is 1668 the year when he became the poet laureate? Yes. Yes. Very good. Correct. Okay. Tell me, who wrote the comedy The Rover? The Rover is a comedy by Afraben. Afraben. What is the subtitle of The Rover? What is the subtitle of The Rover? What is the subtitle of The Rover? The Banished Cavaliers. The Banished Cavaliers. The Banished Cavaliers. Correct. The Country Wife is a restoration comedy of manners by The Country Wife is a restoration comedy of manners by Wycherley. Wycherley. Next, tell me, in Wycherley's The Country Wife, what disguise does Horner adopt to gain secret access to women? Be careful, be careful. What disguise does he take? A eunuch. He says that I have gone impotent. Right, he says that I have gone impotent to get secret access to others' wives. So a eunuch, a eunuch. All right. Who wrote the restoration comedy, The Man of Mode or Sir Fopling Flutter? Please remember, restoration comedies of manners. This area is a very favorite area of NTA to ask match the followings. They can ask you match the followings about who wrote which play. Okay, right. So The Man of Mode or Sir Fopling Flutter, it's a play by Sir George Etheredge. George Etheredge. Macflecknoe is a work of satire by Macflecknoe is a work of satire by Dryden. Dryden. Macflecknoe was published in which year? Macflecknoe was published in which year? Dryden's Macflecknoe was published in correct, correct. 1682. 1682. 1682. In Dryden's Macflecknoe, the character of Thomas Shadwell is presented as the literary heir to whom? Richard Flecknoe. Richard Flecknoe. Correct. Now, ma'am has already done many quotes with you, but let's do one more quote. Okay, we can do that. Which poet wrote the famous lines, I am the very man who from the top of all my glories fall in all the height of undeserved distress? Which poet wrote these lines, I am the very man who from the top of all my glories fall? Be careful, be careful. And why so less answers? Yes, correct. It is from Dryden. Dryden, correct. Now, this is an important PYQ. Please take a look at it. It's an important PYQ. What historical event provided the backdrop for Dryden's Annus Mirabilis? For Dryden's Annus Mirabilis, published in 1667. Published in 1667. The Great Fire of London and the Second Anglo-Dutch War. The Great Fire of London and the Second Anglo-Dutch War. Okay, okay, no worries, Shripurna, that's fine. Okay, so tell me, The Great Fire of London is a novel by whom? Which is a retelling of Dickens's Little Dorrit. It's by Peter Ackroyd. Peter Ackroyd wrote The Great Fire of London. It's a retelling of Dickens's Little Dorrit. Dickens's Little Dorrit. Which prison has been mentioned in Dickens's Little Dorrit? Which prison has been mentioned? The Marshalsea prison. It's a debtor's prison. The Marshalsea, it's a debtor's prison. All right, very good. Very good. Okay. Do you know who are the diarists of the Restoration period? One of them also recorded this event of the Great Fire of London in his diary. Yes, Samuel Pepys and John Evelyn. Samuel Pepys and John Evelyn. Correct. Now, this is a very cute question. Let's take a look at it. Which of the following is an early example of the epistolary novel genre published during the Restoration? Epistolary novel published during the Restoration period. Letters of a Portuguese nun, translated into English. Correct. So please take a look at this explanation. It will help you remember this further. Published anonymously in France in 1669 and translated into English in 1678. This collection of 5 passionate confessional letters is widely considered one of the earliest and most influential examples of the epistolary novel genre. Okay, correct. So, Letters of a Portuguese Nun. Who wrote the neoclassical tragedy, The Rival Queens? Who wrote the neoclassical tragedy, The Rival Queens? The Rival Queens. It's a neoclassical tragedy by whom? Nathaniel Lee. B is correct. Nathaniel Lee. Nathaniel Lee wrote the neoclassical tragedy, The Rival Queens. Okay, right. What is the original source used by Dryden to structure All for Love, his adaptation of Antony and Cleopatra? I took it as a PYQ. It's a PYQ from one of the exams. And I saw that this question has come almost 10 times in exams. Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. Shakespeare's Antony and Cleopatra. Okay. This is again a PYQ from a PSC exam. Which philosopher greatly influenced the epistemological and psychological framework of the later 17th century with an essay concerning human understanding? John Locke. John Locke. Okay. Who wrote Hudibras? Who wrote Hudibras? Samuel Butler. Okay. Yes. So in Hudibras by Samuel Butler, the protagonist, Sir Hudibras, represents which ideological group? The Puritans. The Puritans. Why so many of you are wrong? It is C. The Puritans. Don't make these mistakes, okay? I took this question from Britannica. Britannica. In Samuel Butler's satirical mock heroic poem, the protagonist, Sir Hudibras, is explicitly depicted as a fanatical, stubborn Presbyterian knight who represents the various Puritan factions of the 17th century. Okay, don't make these mistakes in the exam. Think carefully, then answer. Okay, right. Okay. Tell me, the popish plot which fueled anti-Catholic sentiment and influenced literature happened in which year? The popish plot happened in which year? Yes, correct. 1678. 1678. Okay. Which Restoration poet was celebrated for his irregular pindaric odes? Which Restoration poet was celebrated for his irregular pindaric odes? Correct. It is Abraham Cowley. Abraham Cowley. Okay. Correct. Next, tell me. This is very important because it's the GK like question which NTA is asking these days. Who was the architect of the Sheldonian Theatre in Oxford, who also designed St. Paul's Cathedral? Who was the architect of the Sheldonian Theatre in Oxford, who also designed the St. Paul's Cathedral? Very good. It is B. Sir Christopher Wren, who was a professor of astronomy at Oxford. B. Option B. Christopher Wren. Okay. So who wrote Absalom and Achitophel? Who wrote Absalom and Achitophel? Dryden. Absalom and Achitophel was published in which year? Absalom and Achitophel was published in which year? 1681. 1681. And Macflecknoe 1682. Macflecknoe 1682. Absalom and Achitophel 1681. 1681. Okay. In Absalom and Achitophel, the character David represents whom? In Absalom and Achitophel, the character David stands for whom? King Charles II. King Charles II. Correct. Okay. Do you know who coined the phrase poetic justice? Huh. Okay, will do, will do. I will make you revise the chronology of George Eliot and all. Don't worry. Like we did for American. But the problem is it is going live in YouTube now. So I don't know, people might think I have gone mad or something. That's the worry. Yes. The phrase poetic justice. Yes. Aditi, the question is who coined the phrase poetic justice? The phrase poetic justice was coined by Thomas Rhymer. Thomas Rhymer coined the phrase poetic justice. Now let's look at this question. What was the critical premise underlying Thomas Rhymer's The Tragedies of the Last Age Considered? What was the critical premise of this book of Thomas Rhymer? Let me repeat the question for those who are attending from YouTube because they can see the questions now. What was the critical premise underlying Thomas Rhymer's work, The Tragedies of the Last Age Considered? It is the conviction that tragedy must strictly adhere to neoclassical rules derived from ancient Greek drama, specifically that of Aristotle. Okay? So, applying strict Aristotelian rules to English playwrights. It's an important work, so please remember the critical premise of Thomas Rhymer's The Tragedies of the Last Age Considered is applying strict Aristotelian rules to English playwrights. Option B is correct. Option B is correct. Okay. Do you remember who is the lapdog of Belinda in The Rape of the Lock? Shock. Shock. The Rape of the Lock was first published in which year? The Rape of the Lock was first published in which year? 1712. 1712, correct. Are you all following the questions? Is it going good for you all? I hope both in Zoom and YouTube, all of you are following well. Okay. Next, let's do this. In Macflecknoe, what river is described as having puppy dogs drowned in it? In Macflecknoe, what river is described as having puppy dogs drowned in it? B, the Fleet Ditch. B, the Fleet Ditch. Okay, the Fleet Ditch. Which famous work was published in 1678, straddling the religious and political tensions of the era? Look at the year, you will know this. Very easy, yeah. Obviously, it is option B, The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. The Pilgrim's Progress by John Bunyan. Who is that monster in The Pilgrim's Progress who has scales like fish on the body? Who is that monster in The Pilgrim's Progress who has scales like fish on the body? Apollyon. Apollyon is the monster in The Pilgrim's Progress. Correct, correct. Okay, now a question from theaters and all can come. So take a look at it. In the context of the Restoration Theatre, who were the two main licensed theatre companies? In the context of the Restoration Theatre, who were the two main licensed theatre companies? The King's Company and the Duke's Company. The King's Company and the Duke's Company. Okay, the King's Company and the Duke's Company. Who was the first notable professional actress on the English stage, famously associated with roles in Dryden's plays? Roles in Dryden's plays. Margaret Hughes. Margaret Hughes. Okay. What is the thematic focus of Dryden's Religio Laici? Dryden's Religio Laici, 1682. Thematic focus of Dryden's Religio Laici. A defense of the Anglican Church. A defense of the Anglican Church. Okay, right. Should I ask more from Restoration or should I move on to the next chapters? What do you guys want? Should I ask some more or should I move on to the next chapters? Next. Move on. Okay. Let's do this last question and then I will ask you from more chapters. Which early work by Dryden established his reputation as a major poet, written upon the death of Oliver Cromwell? Which early work of Dryden established his reputation as a major poet? Heroic stanzas. Heroic stanzas. Let's do some questions really fast. The Relapse or Virtue in Danger is a play by? The Relapse or Virtue in Danger is a play by? The Relapse or Virtue in Danger is a play by? John Vanbrugh. John Vanbrugh. Okay. This can be important, I feel. So let's do this. There's so much, na? Which text published in 1667 was Dryden's major theoretical defense of the rhymed heroic play? An essay of dramatic poesy. An essay of dramatic poesy. I mean, such important questions are there from this portion that even if I miss them, I won't be able to sleep at night. Which diarist recorded the Great Fire of London in vivid detail, but belonged to the Royal Society and wrote about forestry in silver? Which diarist recorded the Great Fire in London in vivid detail? It is John Evelyn. John Evelyn. John Evelyn. Okay. Now let's do Augustan period. Okay. Let's do Augustan period. First of all, tell me Gulliver's Travels was published in which year? Gulliver's Travels was published in which year? 1726. 1726. Okay, now tell me. In Swift's Gulliver's Travels, what is the name of the race of the brutish, deformed, humanoid creatures that represent human beings devoid of reason? Human beings devoid of reason. Yahoos. Yahoos. Okay. Next, tell me. Daniel Defoe was born in the year of the Restoration. True or false? Daniel Defoe was born in the year of the Restoration. True or false? True. True. Next question. Daniel Defoe's The Shortest Way with the Dissenters led to his imprisonment and public shaming. What was the rhetorical strategy he employed in this pamphlet? Irony and satire. Irony and satire. Right. Robinson Crusoe was published in which year? Robinson Crusoe was published in which year? 1719. 1719. Right. Alexander Pope's The Dunciad was published in which year? Alexander Pope's The Dunciad was published in which year? 1728. 1728. In Pope's The Dunciad, who acts as the primary monarch or goddess of dullness in early versions? Theobald. Theobald. Correct. Okay. Which periodical was started in 1709 by Steele and Addison? Which periodical was started in 1709 by Steele and Addison? The Tatler. The Tatler. Okay. Next, tell me. The Beggar's Opera is a ballad opera by whom? The Beggar's Opera is a ballad opera by John Gay. John Gay. Swift's A Tale of a Tub 1704. Swift's A Tale of a Tub 1704 is a satire primarily targeting what? Religious corruption and pedantry. Religious corruption and pedantry. Okay. Which work by Pope has this line? A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or taste not the Pierian spring. A little learning is a dangerous thing. It's a line from Pope's An Essay on Criticism. Right. Okay. This can be important. What is the central thesis of Pope's An Essay on Man? What is the central thesis of Pope's An Essay on Man? Central thesis of Pope's An Essay on Man. The justification of the ways of God to men. The justification of ways of God to men. Who wrote the philosophical poem, The Vanity of Human Wishes, which imitates Juvenal? The Vanity of Human Wishes, that's by Samuel Johnson. Samuel Johnson. Okay. Which of Daniel Defoe's works provides a fictionalized first-person account of a female thief and prostitute? Moll Flanders. Moll Flanders. Moll Flanders was published in which year? Moll Flanders was published in which year? 1722. Okay. Pamela or Virtue Rewarded was published in which year? Pamela or Virtue Rewarded was published in which year? 1740. 1740. Okay. In Alexander Pope's episode, Dr. Arbuthnot, who is satirized under the name Atticus? Who is satirized under the name Atticus? Joseph Addison. Joseph Addison. Correct. Correct. Okay. Who wrote the satirical essay, An Argument Against Abolishing Christianity? Who wrote the satirical essay? Who wrote the satirical essay, An Argument Against Abolishing Christianity? Jonathan Swift. Jonathan Swift. Correct. In Gulliver's Travels, the land of the Houyhnhnms is ruled by what species? In Gulliver's Travels, the land of the Houyhnhnms. Horses with high reason. Yes. Horses with high reason. What was the specific target of Swift's, the Drapier's letters? What was the specific target of Swift's, the Drapier's letters? English policies regarding Irish coinage. English policies regarding Irish coinage. Who wrote the Seasons? Who wrote the Seasons, which paved the way for romantic poetry of nature? The Seasons is by James Thomson. James Thomson. Correct. Correct. The Seasons is by James Thomson. In Joseph Andrews, Mr. Abraham Adams is a parody of what classical literary character archetype? In Joseph Andrews, Mr. Abraham Adams is a parody of what character type? The errant knight, option A. The errant knight. The errant knight. In the Rape of the Lock, what game of cards becomes a mock epic battle? In the Rape of the Lock, what game of cards becomes a mock epic battle? Omber. Omber. Okay. Which work of Richardson is famously considered his tragic masterpiece, which details the seduction of a virtuous woman? Which details the seduction of a virtuous woman? Clarissa or the history of a lady? Clarissa or the history of a lady? Okay. Kit Kat Club was of which party? Kit Kat Club? Whigs. Whigs. Tell me this one. Which English essayist and playwright founded the Kit Kat Club? Who founded the Kit Kat Club? Richard Steele. Steele. Richard Steele. B. Okay. Next, tell me this one. And after this, we have 8 minutes. We will do romantic period. There were two literary parties or clubs, Kit Kat and Scriblerus. Kit Kat was of the Whigs and Scriblerus was of the Tories. Okay. Who is considered the creator of the comic epic poem in prose, a term coined in the preface to Joseph Andrews? Henry Fielding. Henry Fielding, easy question. Henry Fielding. Okay, yes. Comic epic poem in prose. Comic epic poem in prose. Okay. Any confusion till now? I hope you all followed. I hope you all followed. Okay. Now let's start with Romantic and Victorian periods. Right. We have 6 more minutes to go. Chalo. Tell me. What's the timeline of the Victorian period? What's the timeline of the Victorian period? 1837 to 1901. 1837 to 1901. Who wrote the Gothic novel Zastrozzi? Who wrote the Gothic novel Zastrozzi? The Gothic novel Zastrozzi is by, correct. It's by Shelley. It's by Shelley. Shelley was expelled from Oxford for what reason? Shelley was expelled from Oxford for a controversial pamphlet that he wrote called The Necessity of Atheism. The Necessity of Atheism. Right. Next, tell me, which work did Coleridge define as containing no poetic faults, but those which an author's own youth and uncultivated genius may explain? Which work, according to Coleridge, contained no poetic faults, but those which an author's own youth and uncultivated genius may explain? Yes. It is lyrical ballads. Lyrical ballads. Sorry for stammering. Actually, when I try to speak too fast, I start stammering a bit. Which romantic era periodical was founded by Leigh Hunt and later became famous for publishing Keats, Shelley, and Hazlitt? Which romantic era periodical was founded by Leigh Hunt? The Examiner. The Examiner. Correct. Which of William Blake's prophetic books is dedicated to the deists? Which of William Blake's prophetic books is dedicated to the deists? Deists. Deists. Jerusalem. William Blake's final and longest epic prophetic book, Jerusalem, the Emanation of the Giant Albion, consists of 4 chapters, each uniquely dedicated to a specific audience: the public, the Jews, the deists, and the Christians. So it is Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Okay. So who wrote the Confessions of an English Opium Eater? Who wrote the Confessions of an English Opium Eater? That's by Thomas de Quincey. Thomas de Quincey. In Thomas de Quincey's The Confessions of an English Opium Eater, what is the name of the Malay who visits him? The Penang Merchant. The Penang Merchant. Who wrote the essay Defense of Poesy as a reaction against Thomas Love Peacock's The Four Ages of Poetry? P.B. Shelley. P.B. Shelley. The Byronic hero Childe Harold first makes his appearance in which canto of Childe Harold's pilgrimage? The Byronic hero Childe Harold first makes his appearance in which canto of Childe Harold's pilgrimage? The Byronic hero makes his appearance in Canto 1. Canto 1, option 1, option A. Lord Byron introduces the disillusioned and brooding protagonist, Childe Harold, the original Byronic hero, right at the beginning of the very first canto of Childe Harold's pilgrimage. Option A, Canto 1. Don't make these mistakes. Okay. So the prelude is a spiritual autobiography by The Prelude is a spiritual autobiography by Wordsworth. Wordsworth. Next, John Keats's Hyperion is written in the style of which epic poet? John Keats's Hyperion is written in the style of which epic poet? John Milton. John Milton. D. And one more question for you because it's almost time. I have to stop and Khushi and Preeti will join. Which phrase does Wordsworth use in the preface to Lyrical Ballads, 1800, to describe his aim of selecting incidents and situations from common life? Which phrase was used by Wordsworth? A humble and rustic life. Okay, last two questions, then I will leave you all. What is the subtitle of Mary Shelley's The Last Man? What is the subtitle of Mary Shelley's The Last Man? Mary Shelley's The Last Man. The Last Man. A philosophical romance. Option C, a philosophical romance. Okay, right. Yes, Preeti, are you there? And Khushi, are you there as well?
Yeah, I think Khushi ma'am will start. Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, okay. I will come again at 9 and we'll continue with postcolonial. All right? Okay. I will make one of you the host. Wait, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Hello and good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. Good evening, good evening. I hope you all are doing well. So today we'll be revising Indian literature, and yeah, I'll be revising the first volume of Encyclopedia with you, and then Preeti ma'am will take over. Yes, good evening, everyone. Yeah, sure. You can have a 2 minutes break. Yeah, sure. Okay, so we will start at 7:35 sharp. Okay. So please have some water till then, and we'll start at 35. Yes. So I hope you all, you all are ready now, and let's just get started. I hope my audio and video is fine. Please do let me know in the chat section. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. So, yes. So, my first question for today. Yes, good evening. Good evening. Yes. So, my first question for today is, who wrote this work called The Persecuted? Who wrote this work called The Persecuted? I want all of you to give me answers in the chat box. Let's make this session engaging and interactive. Yes. Yes, Persecuted was written by Krishna Mohan Banerjee. Right. And it was published in the year 1831. Okay. So, on the same lines, tell me who wrote this work called A Journal of the 48 Hours? A journal of the 48 hours of the year 1945. Yes, it's by Kailash Chandra Dutt. Yes. It talks about an imaginary rebellion against the Britishers, and it was published by Kailash Chandra Dutt. Yes, okay, that's wonderful. Okay. So now, yeah, I'm sure you all know that Raja Ram Mohan Roy was known as the father of the Indian Renaissance, right? So tell me, has he founded Arya Samaj or Brahmo Samaj? Yes. Do not get confused. Yes, he was the founder of the Brahmo Samaj. Yes. And Arya Samaj was founded by Dayanand Saraswati. That's right. It was founded by Dayanand Saraswati. Okay. Right. Yes, yes. Okay. And uh, tell me who wrote this letter to Lord Amherst. And this letter was also known as the letter on in letter on English education. Yes, there was this letter which was also known as letter on English education, and yes, it was addressed to Lord Amherst. Yes, right, that's correct. It was published in the year 1823. Yes, it was published by. It was written and published by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Okay, okay. Yes. So, have you heard about this work called Poverty and Un-British Rule in India? Have you all heard about this work called Poverty and Un-British Rule in India? Yes. Okay, wonderful. Yes, this was written by Dadabhai Naroji. Right. It was written and published by Dadabhai Naroji. Okay. Tell me, is it true that the Indian National Congress was founded in the year 1885? Tell me, is it true that Indian National Congress was founded in the year 1885? Yes, it was founded in the year 1885. And in one of the in fact, this time only in UPGDC exam, they asked a question based on this fact, and they asked that the first session of Indian National Congress was held in which place? Was it Bombay? Was it Lucknow? Was it Pune? No, the first session of Indian National Congress. It was in Bombay and it had 72 delegates. Okay, please take this down that it had 72 delegates. Okay, so they all came up for the first time together, and it was in the year, it was for the first time they all come together and had a meeting at Bombay. Right. Okay, so now I'll tell you a few novels that are either influenced by the Gandhian movement or they try to depict Gandhian movement in some way or the other. Okay, so I'll tell you the name of the novel. You have to tell me the author. So is it okay for everyone? Are you all ready? Yes. So all of these novels are influenced and are inspired by the Gandhian movement. So let's start with the easy one. So tell me who wrote The Untouchables? Yes, Untouchable was written by Mulk Raj Anand. And please try to learn, please try to recall the publication and year as well, because these novels are very important and they can always ask you questions based on the publication years, right? And especially in context of Indian writings in English and Indian literature, there are many questions based on chronology. Right. It was published in the year 1935 and it tells the story of Bhaka. So Bhaka is the protagonist of the novel. Right. So the next novel that I have in line is Kanthapura. Yes. Yes. Kanthapura is a work by Raja Rao and it was published in the year 1938. Okay, so Untouchables came first, and then we have this work called Kanthapura. Right. After this, tell me who wrote Murugan the Tiller. So Murugan the Tiller also talks about the Gandhian movement and talks about the Gandhian philosophy. Yes, it was written by K.S. Venkatramani. Okay, it was written by K.S. Venkatramani. Right. Tell me who wrote this work called So Many Hungers, which was also published in the same year as that of our independence. Yes, it was published in the year 1947 and it was written by Bhavani Bhattacharya. So it was written by Bhavani Bhattacharya. And similarly, we have a work by R.K. Narayan, which is also based on Gandhian movement and Gandhian philosophy. And that work is, yes, it's Waiting for Mahatma. In fact, the title itself is, suggestive of the same thing. So it's talking about the Gandhian philosophy, and the title is Waiting for Mahatma. Right. Okay. So now I'll ask you few works based on, yes. Waiting for Mahatma was published in the year 1955. That's right. That's right. Okay, so now I'll ask you a few works that are based on English studies in India and literary works done on English writing in India. So you have to tell me the author that I'm talking about, right? So one of the important works that have been written in this context is English in India, its past and present. I'm sure you all have heard about this work called English in India, its past and present. Yeah, so this area is very important. Yeah, once you go back after the class, please try to look at this area and try to revise as much as possible. Yes, it's by V.K. Gokak. It's by V.K. Gokak. Right. And yes, and the writer and the author who has written Untouchables has also written this critical work called Pigeon India. Yeah, so the work is called English in India, its past and present. Somebody was asking me the work that I was mentioning regarding VK Gokak. So the title is English in India, its past and present. Right. And the next work that I'm talking about, yes, it's called Pigeon Indian. Yes, it's by Mulk Raj Anand. And can you all recall the full title of Pigeon Indian? Are you all able to recall the full title of Pigeon Indian? The yes, that's right. Yeah. It's some notes on, Indian English writing. Okay. The full title is Pigeon Indian, some notes on Yes, some notes on Indian English writing. Right. Okay. Right. And there's a very famous work that is published in the year 1989, and it was published by Gauri Vishwanathan. And it's a very prominent work in context of post-colonial studies. So tell me the title. Yes, it's called Mask of Conquest. Masks of Conquest, right. And it includes 6 chapters. Okay. So different people, different authors like Rukmini Bhaya Nayar and, other famous writers. Uh, I think Anya Lumba. So a lot of writers have contributed to this work, and it's called Mask of Conquest. Yes, Literary Studies in British Rule. Yes, it's the full title. Okay. Right. Okay. Now tell me, who wrote this work called The Indianization of English? And the same writer has also written The Alchemy of English. The Indianization of English and The Alchemy of English. Yes, these works are published by Braj B. Kachru. So Braj B. Kachru is the author of The Alchemy of English and The Indianization of English. So this reminds me of uh, a very famous work. Yeah, a very famous work by Rita Kothari and Rupert Snell. So Rita Kothari and yes, Rupert Snell wrote this work. Yes, called Chutneyfying English, which was published in the year 2011. Okay, please take down that it was published in the year 2011. Right, Chutneyfying English. Yes. Okay. Right. Yes. The rhetoric of English. Now tell me, is it true that the rhetoric of English India is a work by Rajeshwari Sundarajan? Is it true that the rhetoric of English is a work by Rajeshwari Sundarajan? No, it's false. Yes, it's a work by Sara Suleri. It's a work by Sara Suleri. And in this work, The Rhetoric of English, Sara Suleri actually talks about women in colonialism. Okay. So she talks about how women in colonial times are acting as ethnographers. Right. So this work is by Sara Suleri. Okay. Yes. And it's a collect. Yeah. So after that, since I mentioned Rajeshwari Sundarajan, are you able to recall any prominent, any famous work by Rajeshwari Sundarajan? Yes. It's called The Lie of the Land. It's called The Lie of the Land. Yes. It's a collection of essays, and the full title is The Lie of the Land, English Literary Studies in India. English Literary Studies in India. Right. Okay, so I think there are a few more works that I would like to talk about, but I think let's give it a break and let's discuss something else. Okay, so what is the name of the first anthology that was published by Sarojini Naidu? The first anthology that was published by Sarojini Naidu was titled, yes, it was titled The Golden Threshold, and it came out in the year 1905. Okay, so The Golden Threshold came out in the year 1905. Yeah. Do you remember any other famous collection by Sarojini Naidu? Any other famous collection? Yes. Bird of Time, The Feather of Dawn, Broken Wings. Right. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right. And she has also written famous poems like Palanquin Bearers, Coromandel Fishers, and what else? Yes. Right. The Bangle Sellers. Yes. Okay. Indian Weavers. Absolutely right. Yes. Okay. Tell me which is this work by, yeah, Bazaars of Hyderabad. Which is this work by Neeraj C. Chaudhary for which he won the Sahitya Academy Award? Which is this famous work by Neeraj C. Chaudhary for which he won the Sahitya Academy Award? Yes, that's right. It's called, yes, it's called Scholar Extraordinary, and it's a biography of Max Muller. Okay. So the work is titled Scholar Extraordinary, and it's a biography of Max Muller. Right. Okay. Tell me tell me the name of the famous essay that Neeraj C. Chaudhary wrote, which was published in his famous work. The Autobiography of an Unknown Indian. Yeah, yes, it's the famous work by Neeraj C. Chaudhary, but there's a specific essay, yeah, that is included in that work. The title of the essay, no, it's not Naipaul's India. The title of the essay is The Objective Method in English. The Objective Method in English. This is the title of the essay that he includes in the, yeah, he includes in the Autobiography of an Unknown Indian. Okay. Yes. Right. Okay. Tell me who translated the work called Rate Samadhi into English? Who translated this famous work called Rate Samadhi into English? And this work has also received the International Booker Prize. Yes. It was translated by Daisy Rockwell into English, and originally it was composed in Hindi by, it was originally composed in Hindi by Geetanjali Shri. Yes, by Geetanjali Shri. And she has also written famous works and novels like Main. Right. Hmm. Right. Okay. Tell me who wrote Colonial Transactions? Colonial Transactions was published in the year 1993, and this person was a professor at Delhi University. Yes, right. It's a work by Harish Trivedi. It's a work by Harish Trivedi. Right. Okay. There's a work called Subject to Change, Teaching Literature in the 90s. Subject to Change, Teaching Literature in the 90s. This is a very famous work. It's a very famous work. It talks about the, teaching of English in the Indian classroom scenario. And it's a work by, yes, it's a work by Susie Tharu. It's a work by Susie Tharu. And C.D. Narasimhaiah wrote English Studies in India. Okay, C.D. Narasimhaiah wrote English Studies in India. Right. Tell me, yes, Moving Frontiers, yes. Tell me which is this Gujarati monthly magazine which was edited by Gandhi? Which is this monthly Gujarati magazine edited by Gandhi? It's called Navjeevan. It's called Navjeevan. Right. And who is the translator of Gandhi? Who translated Gandhi's works into English? Yes, it's by Mahadev Desai. Please try to remember all these translators, especially in context of, especially in context of Gandhi and Tagore and all these writers, because time and again they can give you match the following questions and you will be asked to match the writer with their translator. Okay. So please have a look at these areas. Right. Hmm. Tell me, I think just one more question from English Studies in India. Tell me who wrote Writing India, Writing English, Literature, Language and Location? He's a retired professor of English at Jawaharlal Nehru University. Yes. Yes, Writing India, Writing English, Literature, Language and Location is a It's a 2011 work by G.J.V. Prasad. Okay, it's a work by G.J.V. Prasad. Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. So when was Macaulay's Minute on Indian Education published? What is the year of publication of Macaulay's Minutes on Indian Education? Yes. They were published in the year 1835. Yes. Yes, it was published in the year 1835. That's right. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Right. Tell me which commission was also known. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So tell me which commission was popularly known as Radhakrishnan Commission. Which commission was popularly known as Radhakrishnan Commission? And it was the Commission of the Independent India. Yes, it's called the University Education Commission. And tell me the year also. Yes, it's from 1948 to 1949. Yes, immediately after the independence. Right. And in the year 1951, we have Primary Education Commission. In the year 1952, we have the Secondary Education Commission. And the Secondary Education, yes, Secondary Education Commission was also known as the Mudaliar Commission. That's right. Yes, it was also known as the Mudaliar Commission. Okay. Tell me, which is this commission that was also called as the Magna Carta of English education on India? Magna Carta of English education in India. Yes, it's the Woods Dispatch. Yes, and the year is 1854. Right. The year is 1854. And in the year 1882, what do we have? In the year 1882, we have the Hunter Commission. Hunter Commission or the, yes, Indian Education Commission. Right. Okay. Right. Tell me, yes, okay. Tell me, NPE or the National Policy on Education was implemented for the first time in the year 1968, and in the year 1986 we have Plan of Action. Okay, so in the year 1968 we have National Policy on Education, and in 1986 we have Plan of Action. And the new education policy came out in the year 2020. Yes, it came out in the year 2020. Right. So what are the important things about National Education Policy of 2020? You can just type down the keywords. You don't have to type the entire thing. Yes, yes, that's right. Yes, ABC. ABC means the Academic Bank of Credit, which is in the National Academic Depository. Yes, there is this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. Yes. Yeah. That yeah, this is the format that was that was laid forward by this national education policy. Then there was a lot of focus on interdisciplinarity. There was a focus on regional languages, on mother tongue, right? Holistic development, right? Yes, there's parak. We have parak, right? Yes, multiple degrees can, yeah, exist together. There's vocational education, right? All of this is true. We have, yeah, we have higher commissions being set up to take care of all these things. Right. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so after this, I think, tell me, what is the name of the first English newspaper in India? What is the name of the first English newspaper in India? Yes, the first English newspaper in India is the Hickey's Bengal Gazette. Yes, Hickey's Bengal Gazette, and it was in the year 1780. Okay, it was in the year 1780. Right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Tell me the other name that is given to Calcutta University Commission of 1917. The other name that is given to Calcutta University Commission of 1917. Yes, it's called the Sadler Commission. Right. It is known as the Sadler Commission. Okay. Please, please try to remember the governor generals as well. Right. Try to remember the governor general. Like, for instance, when we talk about Macaulay's minutes, we know that the governor general at that time was Lord Benedict, right? So similarly, try to remember the governor general for each of these commissions. Okay, right. Okay. So tell me, what was the focus of the Abbott Wood report? What was the focus of the Abbott Wood report, which came out in the year 1936-37? Yes, it focused on the vocational education and it resulted in the formation of the Polytechnic. So it resulted in the formation of the Polytechnic. Right. Yes. Okay. Tell me, which commission is associated to Wardha scheme of education, and it talks about Nai Talim or Bunyadi Siksha. It talks about, yes, it talks about Nai Talim or Bunyadi Siksha. It's called Zakir Hussain Committee on Basic Education. Yes, that's right. It's called Zakir Hussain Committee on Basic Education. Yes. Okay. Right. Yes. Tell me, which is the first which is the first verse play published in English by an Indian? I'm sure you know the first novel that has been published by an Indian in English, that is by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee or Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. But yeah, that's, yeah, Rajmohan's wife. But now I'm asking you the first verse play. First verse play is the Parsi Baronet. Yes, it's called the first Parsi Baronet, and it was published by C.S. Nazir. It was published by C.S. Nazir. Right. Okay. Yes. Matangini is a central character in which novel? Matangini is the central character in which novel? Yes, Matangini is the central character of Rajmohan's wife, which came out in the year 1864. And it was first published serially, and then it was also published in the book format in the year 1935. So in 1864, it was first published serially in Indian Fields, and then it was published in a book format in 1935. And 1935 is also the year of Mulk Raj Anand's Untouchable. Right? Yes. Right. Okay. So I'll tell you, yes, I'll tell you a few lines from a poem. You have to identify the poet and the poem, right? So is it okay for everyone? Okay. So mayst thou be numbered when my days are done with deathless trees like those in Borrowdale. So mayst thou be numbered when my days are done with deathless trees like those in Borrowdale. Yes, absolutely right. These lines have been taken from our Casuarina Tree, which is a poem by Toru Dutt. So tell me the names of other poems that have been composed by Toru Dutt. Other famous poems by Toru Dutt include Sita, Lotus, Lakshman, Bogmari, Yes. Right. Okay. And she has also published, I mean, she is also known for writing an unfinished novel which is called Bianca or the Young Spanish Maiden. Bianca or the Young Spanish Maiden. Right. Have you heard the name of Krupabai Satyanandan? Sheaf gleaned in French fields is also a translation by Toru Dutt. Yes. Have you heard the name of Krupabai Satyanandan? So what is she famous for? She is famous for writing Saguna and Kamala. So Saguna has the full title, A Story of the Native Christian Life, and Kamala is known as Kamala Story of the Hindu Life. Right. Okay. Yes, A Story of the Hindu Life. Right. Michael Madhusudan Dutt, I'm sure you have heard this name, is known for writing Sharmishtha. Right. Tell me, has he also written this work called Is This a Civilization? Has he also written this work called Is This a Civilization? Yes, this is also a work by Michael Madhusudan Dutt. Right. Okay. Tell me, Mahatma Gandhi called this person the Great Sentinel. So, who am I talking about? Mahatma Gandhi called this person the Great Sentinel. Yes, it's about Tagore. So, Mahatma Gandhi called Rabindranath Tagore the Great Sentinel. Tell me the name of his autobiographies. I'm sure you are aware of Geetanjali or the song offerings. Tell me the name of his autobiographies. Yes, it's called Jeevan Smriti or My Reminiscences, and the other autobiography is called My Boyhood Days. So there are two autobiographies. One is Jeevan Smriti, My Reminiscences, and the other is called My Boyhood Days. Right. Okay. Yes. Yes. Tell me, who is this poet who's associated to young Bengal movement, and he had a fascination with nature, and he also wrote this poem called To the Pupils of Hindu College. To the Pupils of Hindu College. It's by Henry Derozio. Yes, this is a poem by Henry Derozio. Right. Okay, so yeah, we were talking about Tagore, right? So tell me, when we talk about Geetanjali, so in English, how many poems are there in Geetanjali? Geetanjali is also called the Song Offerings, and it was first published by Macmillan. Tell me how many poems were there in English? Yes, there were 103 poems in English, and in Bengali, it included 157 poems in total. So it included 157 poems in total. And he has also written novels like Nauka Dubi, The Wreck, Gora, The Home and the World, and he's also known for writing plays which includes Muktadhara, Sannyasi. Yes. Okay. Yeah, right. He has also written Post Office. Right. Hmm. Okay. What is the subtitle of Savitri, which is an epic poem based on Mahabharata? This is an epic poem based on Mahabharata. Yes. Yes, it's called A Legend and a Symbol. The subtitle is A Legend and a Symbol, and it's by Aurobindo. So, is it true that Sri Aurobindo was known for writing future poetry and overhead poetry? Yes, it's true that he was famous for writing future poetry or overhead poetry. And who wrote Viziers of Bazora? Who wrote works like Eric, Viziers of Bazora? Yes, these works are by Sri Aurobindo. Yeah, so this reminds me, who translated Kalidasa's Abhigyanam Shakuntalam into English for the first time? Who translated Kalidasa's Abhigyanam Shakuntalam for the first time into English? It's by William Jones. It's by William Jones. And Ralph T. Griffith is famous for translating what? Ralph T. Griffith is famous for translating Ramayan. For translating Ramayan. Right. Yes. Okay. Tell me who wrote Kali or the Future of Civilization? Kali or the Future of Civilization. Yes, it's by Dr. S. Radhakrishnan. Right. Okay. There's a very famous work based on translation. It's a critical work based on translation, and the title is Citing Translations, History, Post-Structuralism, and Colonial Context. So, Sitting Translations, History, Post-Structuralism, and Colonial Context. It was published in the year 1992, and it's a very famous work on translation by Tejaswini Niranjana. Sitting Translations is a very famous work by Tejaswini Niranjana. Right, and here she's talking about how translation can act as the metaphor of the empire. Right. Okay. Who is the editor? Who is the editor of Rabindranath Tagore? I remember this one time in net, they asked a question based on this. Who is this person? Who's the editor of? No. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about. Yes, I'm talking about Edward Thompson. So in the match the following, they gave 4 options, and you were supposed to match the translator of Tagore, Gandhi, and 2 other people, right? So please remember that Tagore was extensively translated by Edward Thompson, right? Okay. Yeah, I think we are doing very bad with time. I'll ask you just few questions. Who has written this essay called On Translating Kalidas? On Translating Kalidas. This is an essay by Sri Aurobindo. So Aurobindo wrote this essay called On Translating Kalidas. Okay. Yes. U.R. Ananthamurthy wrote this very famous work, which tells about the story of Praneshacharya. Yes, this work is called Samskara, and it was translated into English by whom? It was translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. Okay, it was translated into English by A.K. Ramanujan. Right. Okay. Tell me the first major novel by Premchand. First major novel by Premchand. Premchand is known for writing novels related to Hindi literature and Urdu literature. Yes, it's called Seva Sadan. The first major novel by Premchand is Seva Sadan, and he has also written works like, Gaban, Godan, Rangbhumi, right? Yes, Karma Bhubi. All of these works are by him only, right? So Lalit Ambika Antaranchanam won the Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1977. For which novel? Lalit Ambika Antaranchanam won the Sahitya Academy Award for the novel Agni Sakshi. For the novel Agni Sakshi. Right. Tell me the collection of poems that were composed by Amrita Pritam. Tell me the collection of poems that were composed by Amrita Pritam. No, Pinjar is a novel. Yes, Amrita Pritam is famous for writing Pinjar. But I'm talking about collection of poems. Yeah, she has also written Sunehde. She has also written Aj Akhanu Varis Shanu. This was like an ode. So all of these are famous. But I'm talking about collection of poems. So the collection of poems that Amrita Pritam wrote was Kagas Te Canvas. Okay. So it's called Kagas Te Canvas. Right. Who is the pioneer of Nai Kahani movement? who is the pioneer of Nai Kahani movement? It's Mohan Rakesh. And Mohan Rakesh is famous for writing Asar Ka Ek Din and Aadhe Adhure. Ashar Ka Ek Din, Aadhe Adhure. Right. So have you all heard the name of Krishna Sobati? Krishna Sobati has won, Krishna Sobati has won Sahitya Academy Award. Yes, she won the Sahitya Academy Award for, she won the Sahitya Academy Award for Zindagi Nama. Okay, Zindagi Nama. Yes, right. Okay, tell me which is this play by Dharamveer Bharti that depicts the aftermath of Mahabharata? Which is this play by Dharamveer Bharti that depicts the aftermath of Mahabharata? It's Andha Yog. It's Andha Yog. Yes. Okay. Okay, tell me, Kavita Kane is a very famous writer who's known for writing mythological fiction. I'm sure you have heard her name. Kavita Kane is very much, she's very popular and she is known for writing mythological fiction, right? So, can you all tell me the names of any famous work by Kavita Kane? Menka's Choice, yes. Karna's Wife, right. Sita's Sister, and Ahilya's Awakening. Okay, and Ahilya's Awakening. Right. Okay. Yeah. Similarly, can you all tell me any famous graphic novel that you are able to recall by Amrita Patil? Any famous graphic novel that you are able to recall by Amrita Patil? Hello, Preeti ma'am. I just need 5 more minutes. Okay. Then, then you can continue with the lecture. Yes. Yes, Aranyaka. Yes, Aranyaka. Yes, it's a work by Aranyaka is a graphic novel by Amrita Patil. Yes. Then there are famous graphic writers like, yes, Devdutt Patnaik. Devdutt Patnaik. You also have Indira Sinha. You have Pankaj Sheksaria, Arijit Sen. Right. All of these are very important. Please have a look at the graphic novelists. Look at the Dalit writers. Right. Like Namdeo Dhasal. And you have Om Prakash Valmiki. So who wrote this work called Juthan? Who wrote this work called Juthan? It's a work by Om Prakash Valmiki. So what is the genre of Juthan? Is it a novel or an autobiography? Om Prakash Valmiki's Juthan falls into which genre? Yes, it's an autobiography. It's not a novel. Okay, so I remember this one time they have asked this question based on Om Prakash Valmiki. Right. Okay. Tell me, there's a very famous partition work called Gurumukh Singh Ki Wasihat. So who wrote this work called Gurumukh Singh Ki Wasihat, which talks about the shock and disillusionment that has been created as an aftermath of partition. So Gurumukh Singh Ki Wasihat is a work by Manto, Sadat Hasan Manto, which talks about the disillusionment and shock of partition. Yes. And Bhisham Sahni has also written a work against the aftermath of partition. It's called We. Yeah, Bhisham Sahni has also written Tamas, but right now I'm talking about this work called We Have Arrived in Amritsar. Okay, so Bhisham Sahni has written We Have Arrived in Amritsar, and this is a work set against the backdrop of partition. You have other famous writers like Atiya Hussain. So Atiya Hussain is known for writing Sunlight on a Broken Column. Sunlight on a Broken Column. You have Rahi Mazum Raza. You have Ismat Chugtai. So all of these people are talking about the partition as a backdrop in their novels and in their works. Right. Okay. Tell me who's famous for writing Alexandria Quartet. So who's famous for writing Alexandria Quartet? Yes, it's by Alexandria Quartet is by Lawrence Durrell. It's by Lawrence Durrell. Similarly, we have Raj Quartet, and Raj Quartet is written by Paul Scott. Okay, so the Raj Quartet is very famous. You can also, look at the title of these separate works, and it's by Paul Scott. Yes, and John Masters is famous for writing a work called Bhavani Junction. So John Masters is famous for writing Bhavani Junction. Right. And who wrote Mother India? Who wrote Mother India? Yes, it's by Catherine Mayo. Catherine Mayo has written Mother India. Yes. Okay. Tell me who has won a Sahitya Academy Award for his 1987 collection of poems called Trap Falls in the Sky. Called Trap Falls in the Sky. It's Shiv K. Kumar. It's Shiv K. Kumar. Yes. And he has also written very famous works like Articulate Silences, Cobwebs in the Sun, Subterfuges, Woodpeckers, right? These are famous works by Shiv K. Kumar. And he has also written Lear to Cordelia. Right? Okay. And who wrote this work called Don't Call It Suicide? Don't Call It Suicide. Yes, it's a work by Nizam Ezekiel. It's a work by Nizam Ezekiel. Right. Yes. Okay. Tell me, who is this poet based in Odisha who has written famous poems like Hunger, Dawn at Puri? Yes. And he has also written Relationship, for which he won the Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1981. It's by Jayant Mahapatra. And the epigraph of Relationship has been taken from which work? The epigraph of Relationship has been taken from Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. Right? The epigraph has been taken from Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. Right. Okay. Okay. Tell me, which is the first poetry collection published by A.K. Ramanujan, which was in the year 1966. The first published poetry collection by A.K. Ramanujan. Yes, it talks about the questions related to memory and identity. Yes. So the collection is called The Striders, and it was published in the year 1966. And he has also written Hymns for the Drowning. He has also written Speaking of Shiva. Right. Yes. And he talks about myth as such. Right. Okay. Tell me the publication year of Jejuri by Arun Kulatkar. What is the publication year of Jejuri? It was published in the year 1976. It was published in the year 1976, and it was awarded the Commonwealth Poetry Prize. Please remember that Jejuri was rewarded. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Just one more minute. Okay, I'll just sum up. Yeah. So it won the Commonwealth Poetry Prize, and it included 31 poems. Right. Okay. Yes. Okay. I think I'll ask you two more questions, and then I think Preeti ma'am will continue from here. Okay. Right. Okay. Tell me, who wrote the poetry collection called Mappings? Who wrote this poetry collection called Mappings? It's a poetry collection by Vikram Seth. It's a poetry collection by Vikram Seth. Yes. And who wrote this work that was originally written in Assamese, and the title in English says The Moth Eater Horda of the Tusker. The moth-eaten Horda of the Tusker. Yes, it's a work by Indira Goswami. It was originally composed in Assamese. Right. And who wrote this work called These Hills Called Home? Stories from a War Zone. These Hills Called Home. Stories from a War Zone. It's by Temsula Au. It's by Temsula Au. Right. Okay. So I think my last question for today is, yes. So my last question for today is, tell me, is it true that Nag Mantla was based on two oral tales that Girish Karnad has actually heard from his friend A.K. Ramanujan? Yes, it's true that Nag Mantla was based on two oral tales that Girish Karnad has heard from his friend A.K. Ramanujan. Right. So please have a look at the dramatists of this time. Please have a look at Girish Karnad, then have a look at Badal Sirkar, right? Mahesh Dattani, Vijay Tendulkar. All of these writers are very important, and they can also ask you questions based on summary, characters, and important lines from the play, right? Okay. So now Preeti ma'am will take over the session from here. So thank you so much, everyone. Okay. Please take care. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Good evening. I hope you are enjoying the marathon session. How's the revision going on? Good? Yes. So should we start with the first generation of Indian fiction writers, the three trios who are very important? Who are the three trios of Indian literature? Mulk Raj Anand, then R.K. Narayan, and Raja Rao. Raja Rao. Correct. Okay. Okay. So tell me, who is called as the India's Charles Dickens? Who is called as India's Charles Dickens? Correct. Mulk Raj Anand. Do you want to revise all the works of Mulk Raj Anand in chronology? Should we start once? Okay. So tell me, what is the first work that he has written in 1935? Untouchable. Correct. The one he has written in 1936? Coolie. Yes. After Coolie, what did he write in 37? 37. Yes. Two leaves and a bud. Correct. In 39, what did he write? 39. The Village. The Village. Okay. In 1940, what did he write? In 1940, Across the Black Waters. Okay. In 1942, what did he write? Sword and the Sickle. Sword and the Sickle. 1945, he wrote The Big Heart. 1945. Yes, correct. Okay. And 1951, he wrote Seven Summers. Seven Summers. Very good. 1953, he wrote The Private Life of an Indian Prince. Isn't it? 1953, The Private Life of an Indian Prince. Then after that, in 56, what did he write? 1956, The Old Woman and the Cow. The Old Woman and the Cow. Then after that, he wrote another work, The Road, in 1961. And then in 1968, he wrote Morning Face. So these are another two important works that you should keep in mind. Again, I'm repeating, Untouchable. Then who is supposed to, like, I'm just making a story out of it. Untouchable. Then Coolie is untouchable. Then he saw two leaves in a bud. Where did he see two leaves in a bud? He saw it in the village, which is across the black water, isn't it? And what is kept over there? The sword and the sickle. So you need a big heart for it, right? So the big heart. And 7 summers after that. So who is having sword, a big heart, is in this 7 summers, A Private Life of an Indian Prince. So there is an Indian prince. And then you see in that village that there is a old woman and the cow. Old woman and the cow on the road on the morning face. Okay, so this is the way, because a lot of times chronology is asked. That is why we are revising chronology. Let's revise the chronology of R.K. Narayan. Okay, R.K. Narayan, interesting. So in 1935, he wrote, What did he write? Swami and Friends. Swami and Friends. So the Swami and Friends, what did they take for their graduation? Bachelor of Arts. Correct. Bachelor of Arts. So they are sitting somewhere. Where are they sitting? In the dark room, isn't it? The dark room. So there is one person. Who is that person? The English teacher. The English teacher. What is the name of the English teacher? Mr. Sampath. Yes, correct. Mr. Sampath. Okay. He says that he is also what? Apart from English teacher, he's also a financial expert. Correct. He's a financial expert. So they all are what? Doing what? What are they waiting for? Waiting for Mahatma. Okay. Who is the guide? Correct. Who is the guide? Now Mr. Sampath says that he is the man-eater of Malgudi, isn't it? He is the vendor of sweets. He's a very talkative man. And he stays in the world of Nagaraj, isn't it? He stays in the world of Nagaraj, correct? And the last work is Grandmother's Tale. Grandmother's Tale. So let me ask you, in 1935, what did R.K. Narayan write? Swami and Friends. In 1937, he wrote The Bachelor of Arts, correct. In 1938, he wrote The Dark Room. 1945, The English Teacher. 1949, he wrote Mr. Sampath. Yes. 1952, he wrote what? The Financial Expert. Correct. 1955, what did he write? Waiting for Mahatma. Very good. 1958, The Guide. The Guide. Yes. Then what comes after that? 1961, The Man-Eater of Malgudi. Correct. What comes after that? 1967, The Vendor of Sweets. Very good. Again, in 1983, he wrote Malgudi Days. Okay, Malgudi Days. And in 1986, what did he write? Talkative Man, isn't it? 1986, he wrote Talkative Man. 1990, what did he write? The World of Nagaraj. Yes. And in 1992, he wrote Grandmother's Tale. So what is the fictional town for which R.K. Narayan is famous? What is the fictional town? Yes, Malgudi. Okay, which is the first novel by R.K. Narayan? First novel? Yes, Swami and Friends. Yes, Swami and Friends. Correct. Correct. Okay. Did he get Sahitya Academy Award? R.K. Narayan. For which work? The Guide, isn't it? Did he get it for Guide? Yes, The Guide in 1960. 60. Do you know who is the mentor of R.K. Narayan? Who supported him to write Swami and Friends? Graham Greene. Correct. Graham Greene. Okay. Who is supposed to be the mentor of Mulk Raj Anand? Who helped him to write Untouchable? Untouchable. E.M. Foster. Okay. Remember this. E.M. Foster. Okay. Talking about Mulk Raj Anand. Has he written Lal Singh trilogy, which is also called as Lalu trilogy? Yes. What are the works that comes under Lalu trilogy? The Village. Yes, The Village, Across the Black Waters, and Sword and the Sickle. Sword and the Sickle. Okay. Very good. Okay. Do you want to revise Raja Rao's work in chronology? Raja Rao's? Let's start. Okay. So first work is Kantapura. Kantapura in 1938. After that, in 1947, which work came? Which work? The Cow of the Barricades. The Cow of the Barricades in 1947. In 1960, which work came? Which work? The Serpent and the Rope, isn't it? The Serpent and the Rope. Then after 5 years span, 1965, what came? The Cat and the Shakespeare. Correct. The Cat and the Shakespeare. 1988 is On the Ganga Ghat, and 1999 is The Chess Master and His Moves. These are the important works. Is that okay? Yes. Okay. So where do you find this line? English is not really an alien language to us. English is not really an alien language to us. This line is preface to Kantapura. Yes, preface to Kantapura. Okay, for which did he get Sahitya Academy Award? Sahitya Academy Award. The Serpent and the Rope. The Serpent and the Rope. Okay, very good. Now tell me, The Lost Child. Who has written The Lost Child? In 1934. Mulk Raj Anand. Very good. Okay. I'll give you some names of the characters. You need to guess where do you see these characters, okay? Where do you see the character Bakha? Bakha, the Bangi toilet cleaner. Yes, in Untouchable. Untouchable. Can we say that Untouchable is a circadian novel? Can we say it as a circadian novel? Yes. What is a circadian novel? Something which is for a one day, single day, 24 hours. Yes, correct. Correct. Okay. Where do you see the character? Chandu. 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 Yes. The Barbers Trade Union. Gauri is a character in. Gauri, the woman protagonist, is a character in The Old Man and the Cow. The Old Man and the Cow. Gangu is a character in Gangu. Assam tea plantation. Two leaves and a bud. Correct. Two leaves and a bud. Munnu is a character in Munnu in Coolie. Correct. Very good. Where do you see the character or who is famous for writing Seven Ages of Man? Seven Ages of Man. Mulk Raj Anand. Is it something related to Shakespeare? Seven Ages of Man? Yes. Yes. Seven Ages of Man is a speech in As You Like It. Correct. As You Like It. Okay. Who has written A Pair of Mustache? A Pair of Mustache. The Bubble, Confession of a Lover, Lament on the Death of a Master of Arts, The Big Heart, The Road. Yes, Mulk Raj Anand. Is Mulk Raj Anand related to Bloomsbury Group? Was he friends with the people of Bloomsbury Group? Yes, yes, correct. Who has written Caliban and Gandhi? Caliban and Gandhi, Letter to Babu from Mumbai. Yes, it's by Mulk Raj Anand. Has he written curries and other dishes, Indian dishes? Curries and other Indian dishes. Mulk Raj Anand? Yes, correct. He has written it. Okay. Do you know who has written Roots and Flowers? Roots and Flowers. Two lectures on metamorphosis of technique. It is by Mulk Raj Anand, okay? Roots and Flowers. Who has written Roots and Shadows? Roots and Shadows. Yes, Shashi Deshpande. Correct. Shashi Deshpande. Okay. Any idea who is supposed, which Indian person is supposed to get the first Sahitya Academy Award for Hindi? Makhan Lal Chaturvedi. Okay. He is the first ever Sahitya Academy Award winner in 1955. Okay. Makhan Lal Chaturvedi. Okay. Then I hope now you will not forget the works of R.K. Narayan, the financial expert, Mr. Sampath, the English teacher, the dark room, isn't it? The vendor of sweets, the painter of signs, the world of Nagaraj, right? The talkative man, and neither will you forget the chronology. Hmm? Okay, tell me who has written Handful of Rice. Handful of Rice. Who has written it? Possession, Handful of Rice, Kamala Markandeya. Who has written Handful of Dust? Handful of Dust, Evelyn Vaughan. Yes, Evelyn Vaughan has written Handful of Dust. Okay. Then whose famous work is a very tasty work, which is a memoir, Prison and the Chocolate Cake. Prison and the Chocolate Cake. Nayantara Sehgal. Has she written Rich Like Us, Mistaken Identity, A Time to Be Happy? Yes, yes. So the character Bhushan Singh is in Mistaken Identity. And she has won Sahitya Academy Award for which work? She has won Sahitya Academy Award for which work in 1985? Rich Like Us. Very good. Who has written Nectar in a Sieve? Nectar in a Sieve? Yes. Kamala Markandeya. Kamala Markandeya. Okay. Now tell me, who has written Face to Face, Delinquent Chacha, Face to Face, Daddy Ji, Mummy Ji? All these are works by Ved Mehta. Ved Mehta. Who has written Heat and Dust? Heat and Dust is a work by? Yes, correct. Ruth Pravar Jhabwala. Who's famous for writing Gandhi quoted? Gandhi quoted. Chaman Nair. Very good. So can you tell me the works that comes under Gandhi quoted? First one is Azadi. Then, yes, Crown and the Loincloth. Salt of Life, the triumph of tricolor. Very good. Now let me ask you, who has written the Indian trilogy? Who wrote the Indian trilogy? Correct. V.S. Naipaul. An Area of Darkness. Then, what else? India, Wounded Civilization. India, A Million Mutinies. V.S. Naipaul is very important. Most of the time he is asked. Did he get any Nobel Prize? In which year? Nobel Prize? In 2001. Nobel Prize in 2001. And he has also won a Booker Prize for In a Free State. Okay? In a Free State. In 1971. Okay. Now, he is famous for writing A Bend in the River. Tell me who is famous for writing A Bend in the Ganges? A Bend in the Ganges. Manohar Malgolkar. Correct. Okay. So, Naipaul has written An Area of Darkness. Any idea who has written An Era of Darkness? An Era of Darkness. Nizam Ezekiel, isn't it? Is it Nizam Ezekiel? Yes. Era of Darkness. Small Remedies, The Binding Wine, That Long Silence, Roots and Shadows, The Dark Hole, No Terror. Yes, correct. Shashi Deshpande. Deshpande. Listen to Me is the memoir by Shashi Deshpande. Okay, which is the short story collection? The Legacy. The Legacy is a short story collection. Did she won any Padma Shri Award, Sahitya Academy Award? Yes, she won Sahitya Academy Award in the year 1990. Okay, and Padma Shri in 2009. 2009. Okay. So tell me the works of V.S. Naipaul that you know. The Mystic, let's do it in chronology, okay? The Mystic Monsieur, then Suffrage of Elvira, what else? Miguel Street, then after that, House of Mr. Bishwas, then Mr. Stone and Knight's Companion, right? The Mimic Men is another work. After that, The Flag on the Island, The Flag on the Island, then In a Free State, In a Free State. After that, he wrote Guerrillas, okay? Guerrillas in 1975. After that, A Bend in the River. A Bend in the River in 1979. The Enigma of Arrival in 1987. After that, Away in the World. Away in the World in 1994. Half Alive in 2001 and Magic Seed in 2004. 2004. Talking about Away in the World, I just remembered some work by Congreve. Do you remember any work? Way in the World, Way of the World by Congreve. Correct. Correct. Okay. Half a Life is by V.S. Naipaul. Tell me who has written Half Breed. Half Breed. Maria Campbell. Who has written Hag Seed? Atwood. Atwood. Okay. Correct. Okay. Where do you see the characters Salim, Adam Aziz? This book has won the Booker Prize in 1981. 1993, Best of the Bookers in 2008. Yes, Midsummer Night's Dream. Does it have any relation with Jallianwala Massacre? 13th April 1919. Yes. Yes. Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act. Yes. Yes. Okay. Satanic Verse is a work by published in the year 1988. Satanic Verse. Rushdie. Moore's Last Sigh. Who has written this work? He spent 5 years writing it. Rushdie. Okay. Correct. Okay. Do you know who has written Reading the Satanic Verse? Reading the Satanic Verse. Somebody who has coined the term Orientalism. Edward Said. Edward Said. Okay. Now tell me, who has written the work The Trotternama, a Chronicle? The Trotternama, a Chronicle. Yes, Alan Seeley. He has written The Everest Hotel, right? The Everest Hotel. Okay. Then tell me, what is this autobiography that he has written? Fault Lines, isn't it? Fault Lines, autobiography. Who has written this? Is it Alan Seeley or somebody else? Yes, it's by Mina Alexander. Correct. Fault Lines, House of Thousand Doors, all these are works by Mina Alexander. Who has written Trotternama? Trotternama. Yes, Alan Seeley. Who has written Manhattan Music, Nampalli Road, The Poetic Self, Women in Romanticism. Yes, all these are works by Mina Alexander. Mina Alexander. Okay. Now tell me whose major novels are The Golden Gate, A Suitable Boy, and Equal Music, A Suitable Girl, All You Who Sleep Tonight. Yes. All these are works by Vikram Seth. Vikram Seth. Okay. The Thousand Faces of Night is a work by The Thousand Faces of Night. Yes, Geeta Hariharan. Did we study right now face to face? Who wrote face to face? Ved Mehta, isn't it? Ved Mehta. Okay. Now tell me, who has written Why I Am a Hindu? Why I Am a Hindu? Shashi Tharoor. Shashi Tharoor. What did Kancha Elaya write? What did Kancha Elaya write? Why I am not a Hindu, correct? Why I am not a Hindu. Has he written works like Show Business, Riot, Shadows Across the Playing Field, Reasons of the State, Bookless in Baghdad, The Elephant, the Tiger, and the Cell Phone? Yes, yes. Has he written The Era of Darkness? Era of Darkness? Yes, yes. He has written Era of Darkness. Who has written Area of Darkness? Who wrote Area of Darkness? Nizam Ezekiel or V.S. Naipaul. Area of Darkness is by V.S. Naipaul, right? Area of Darkness. Him in Darkness is a work by Him in Darkness, Nizam Ezekiel. Very good. So Him in Darkness, Area of Darkness, Era of Darkness. 3 works. Okay? Okay. Then tell me, in Time of Siege, The Ghost of Vasu Master. Who has written all these works? The Thousand Faces of Night. Geeta Hariharan. Geeta Hariharan. Is she famous for some court case because of which now women who are mothers can also be the guardian of their sons, or sons, I mean children. Yes. Bank account case it was. Okay. Then tell me who has written very famous works. The Circle of Reason, The Shadow Line, The Calcutta Chromosome, The Glass Palace, The Hungry Triad, The Ibis Trilogy, Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh. So tell me the works in an antique land. Okay. Now, The Circle of Reason is a work by Amitav Ghosh. Can you tell me the works that comes under Ibis Trilogy? Ibis Trilogy. Yes, Sea of Poppies, River of Smoke, Flood of Fire. He has also written Gun Island. Okay, Gun Island, Jungle Nama. All these are works by Amitav Ghosh. Amitav Ghosh. Okay. Hungry Tide. There is a famous character, Piali Roy. Piali Roy. Yes, Era of Darkness is by Shashi Tharoor. Era of Darkness, yes. Piali Roy in Hungry Tide. Okay, Hungry Tide. Now tell me, Sea of Poppies. It talks about Bihar's opium plantation and factories. Okay, Bihar's opium plantation and factories. Sea of Poppies. Now tell me, very interesting. The Mistress of Spices. Mistress of Spices. She's an Indian American author. Yes. Chitra Banerjee Devakurni. So can you tell me a few works that she's written before I make you revise it? Tell me. Yes. Then Arranged Marriage. She has written Palace of Illusion. Very good. Black Candle. Yes. The Mirror of Fire and Dreaming. The Vine of Desire. The Queen of Dreams. Okay. Palace of Illusion. Oleander Girl she has written, isn't it? Do you know? Oleander Girl is a work by? Chitra Devakurni. Okay, there was a PYQ question I just got. Articles of Indian Constitution made the provision for use of English alongside Hindi for official purposes for 15 years. Which article? Which article? Article number 343. Okay, article number 343. Okay. So Namita Gokhale is famous for writing which works? Paro, isn't it? Shakuntala, the Book of Shadows, Things to Leave Behind. All these are written by Namita Gokhale. Namita Gokhale. Okay. Forest of Enchantment, which is written from the perspective of Sita, is a work by Forest of Enchantment, The Palace of Illusion. Yes. Yes. So the Palace of Illusion is written from whose perspective? Draupadi's perspective. And which is the work which is written from Sita's perspective? Forest of Enchantment. Palace of Illusion from Draupadi's perspective. All these are works which is written by Chitra Banerjee Devakurni. Who has written A House of Blue Mangoes? A House of Blue Mangoes. David Davidar. Okay, David Davidar. Has he written Ithaka? Ithaka. Yes, yes. Who is famous for writing English August? English August, an Indian story in 1988. Upamanyu Chatterjee. Upamanyu Chatterjee. He's written Dark Comedy, Weight Loss, Way to Go, The Last Burden. All these are works by Upamanyu Chatterjee. Okay. Now tell me, who has written Looking Through Glass? Looking Through Glass. It is about cricket. Mukul Keshwan. Do you know any other work by Arvind Adiga, which is also about cricket? Arvind Adiga. Selection Days. Okay. Selection Days by Arvind Adiga. Okay. That Long Silence is a work by? That Long Silence, Shashi Deshpande. Okay. Men in White is a work by? Men in White, Mukul Keshwan. Mukul Keshwan. Okay. Now, tell me, do you know that there is a work Shadows Across the Playing Field, which is by Shashi Tharoor, which is also about cricket. Okay. Who has written the work Kohinoor, Anarchy, The Return of a King, Nine Lives, In Xanadu, The Last Mughal, William Dalrymple. William Dalrymple. Okay. He has written Xanadu, A Quest. Who has written The Road to Xanadu? Road to Xanadu. Any idea? Road to Xanadu. J.L. Lewis. Lowes. Yes, correct. J.L. Lewis. Very good. Okay. The Story of My Assassin, The Alchemy of Desire, The Alchemy of Desire, The Story of Assassin is by Tarun Tejpal. Who has written Odyssey Abroad? Odyssey Abroad. A New World, The Immortals, Odyssey Abroad. Freedom Song, A Strange and Sublime Address. All these are works by Amit Chowdhury. Amit Chowdhury. Okay. Has he written a critical work about D.H. Lawrence? Amit Chaudhary, D.H. Lawrence, yes. D.H. Lawrence and Difference. Okay, it's a critical work about D.H. Lawrence by Amit Chaudhary. Now, tell me, who has written M and the Big Whom? M and the Big Whom. The Life and Time of H. Baum. Asylum and Other Poems. M and the Big Whom. Bombay Meri Jaan is by Jerry Pinto. Correct, Jerry Pinto. Who has written Mistress, Lessons in Forgetting, Cuts Like Wound, Ladies Coupe, Anita Nair. Who has written the work Cuts? British literature Cuts. Malcolm Bradbury. Yes, Malcolm Bradbury has written Cuts. He has also written Eating People is Wrong. And Cuts Like Wound is by Anita Nair. Anita Nair. Okay. Mistress is a work by Anita Nair. Who has written Spices? Mistress of Spices. Mistress of Spices, Chitra Banerjee Devakurni. Correct. Who is famous for writing The Namesake, Interpreter of Maladies, Unaccustomed Earth, The Namesake, The Lowland. Yes, all these are works by Jhumpa Lahiri. Whereabouts? Jhumpa Lahiri, okay? Now, tell me, Hula Baloo in the Guava Orchard. Hula Baloo in the Guava Orchard. Yes, Kiran Desai. Has she written The Inheritance? The Inheritance? Yes, yes. Did she get the Booker Prize for that? Yes, Inheritance of Loss. Booker Prize in 2006. Man Booker Prize in 2006. Inheritance of Loss. Okay. Who has won the Sahitya Academy Award in the year 2022 for the work All the Lives We Never Lived? All the Lives We Never Lived. Anuradha Roy. Anuradha Roy. She has written an atlas of impossible longing. Okay. Who is very famous for writing The White Tiger, which was also a movie that we saw, in which I think Priyanka Chopra was there. Then one more actor, Raj, something. Yeah. Yes. The White Tiger, yes. Balram Halwai. Correct. Arvind Adiga. Arvind Adiga. Did it won Man Booker Prize in 2008? Yes. Yes. Okay. Who has written The Otherness of English, India's anti-tongue syndrome? The Otherness of English, India's anti-tongue syndrome. Prabol Das Gupta. Yes, yes. So do you remember in our revision sessions, we revised instead of Prabal, because it is an anti-tongue syndrome. So we said Prabol Das Gupta, right? So now will you not forget? I hope you'll not forget it. Prabol Das Gupta, anti-tongue syndrome. Who has written The Last Man in Tower? Between the Assassination, The Last Man in Tower. Arvind Adiga, correct. Arvind Adiga. Okay. Such a Long Journey. Tales from Firozabad. Such a Long Journey. Rohinton Mystery. Who is the brother of Rohinton Mystery for who got Sultan Padma Shri Award for his work? Cyrus Mystery. Which is that work? Dungaji House. Okay, Dungaji House, which is a play in, yeah, which is a play for which Cyrus Mystery got the Sultan Padma Shri Award. Okay. So very interesting names. Who has written Come to Mecca, Pune Company, Tandoori Nights, Mangal Pandey, Bikini Murders? Yes. Farooq Dhondi. Farooq Dhondi has written all these works. Tandoori Nights, Come to Mecca. Correct. A Fine Balance is a work by A Fine Balance. Rohinton Mystery. Rohinton Mystery. Correct. Now tell me, who has written Brides Are Not for Burning? Brides Are Not for Burning. A play in 2 acts. Deena Mehta. Deena Mehta. Getting Away with Murder, Mythmaker, Tiger Tiger. All these are works by Deena Mehta. Okay. Lady Is Not for Burning is a work by Lady Is Not for Burning, Christopher Fry. Very good. So Deena Mehta has written Myth Makers. Who has written Map Makers? Map Makers, Keki and Daruwala. Correct. Keki and Daruwala. Okay. Chronicles of the Corpse Bearer. Chronicles of the Corpse Bearer is a work by Cyrus Mystery. Cyrus Mystery is also written A Radiance of Ashes. A Radiance of Ashes. Talking about corpse, I just remembered that Eugene Ionesco has also written some work which has got corpse in it. Amidi. Do you remember Amidi? Or How to Get Rid of Corpse. Okay, How to Get rid of Corpse. Eugene Ionesco. And Chronicle of a Corpse Bearer is a work by Cyrus Mystery. Okay. Now coming to who has written Speed Post. Speed Post. Shobha Day. D-double-E. Shobha Day. She has also written Shooting from Hip. Okay. Shooting from Hip. Shooting an Elephant is a work by Shooting an Elephant, George Orwell. Okay. Shooting Niagara is a work by Carlyle. Okay. Shooting Niagara, Carlyle. Okay. Do you know any two feminists? One of the eco-feminist Indian writer. Yes. Vandana Shiva. Vandana Shiva. Okay. Who has written How I Taught My Grandmother, Dollar Bahu? Dollar Bahu has written all these works. Sudha Murthy. Sudha Murthy. Okay. The Oath of, who has written The Immortals of Meluha, The Secret of Nagas, The Oath of Vayuputra, Amish Tripathi. He has written The Oath of Vayuputra. Okay. Who is very famous for writing pulp fictions like Half Girlfriend, The Three Mistakes of My Life, Half Girlfriend, Three Mistakes of My Life. Yes, Chetan Bhagat. Correct. Yes, Ankita ma'am is here. Let me ask you one or two questions. Who is famous for writing Cast Out, Cast Out, Basudev Suneni. Outcast is a work by Outcast. Yes, Narendra Jadhav. Narendra Jadhav is Outcast. Okay. Whose famous work is Akarmashi or the Outcast? Akarmashi or the Outcast? Sharan Kumar Limbale. Okay. So that's it from my end for Indian literature. Now Ankita ma'am will continue. Thank you.
Okay. Do you guys want a break? Remember, okay, let's have a 3 minutes break. Okay, yeah. 3 minutes break. Okay, yeah. Okay, 5. Yeah, chalo. 5 minutes break. Okay, yeah, 5 minutes break. Okay. After this live session, do take a good rest. Eat your dinner early and take a long nap. Keep your mind fresh. Are you talking about now, or are you talking about the slot which started from 6 p.m.? If you're talking about the 6 p.m. wala slot when we were doing British, if you just listen to the audio or just yeah, that portion, when if you just look at the video once again, you will get the questions because I repeated the questions orally 2 to 3 times. That won't be a problem. I repeated all the questions twice, thrice. I will take the session till 10 and then it will be over. It will be till 10 p.m. Now we will do post-colonial literatures. There is African, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand, all this. Now we will do post-colonial literatures. From now till 10. Now it's break time actually, so I'm just talking to you like this because till 9:05 it's break time. That's why. Okay, let's start. Break time is over. I hope all of you are back. So let's do it. Here's your first question. Who coined the term the novelist as a teacher? In 1965, to describe the role of the African writer. Yes, who coined the term the novelist as teacher to describe the role of the African writer? Correct, correct. It is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe coined the term and conceptualized the role in his seminal 1965 essay, The Novelist as a Teacher. In it, he argued that African writers have a fundamental duty to educate their communities, combat lingering colonial inferiority complexes, and restore cultural pride. The novelist as teacher, 1965 essay by Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe. All right. Please remember the year 1965. 1965. Okay. In Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, what is the name of Okonkwo's personal chi or personal god? Nan. I tricked you. Nan. In Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, Okonkwo's personal chi is not specifically given a unique individual name. Instead, the novel explores the Igbo spiritual concept of chi, and Okonkwo is described at various times as having a chi that does not affirm his great ambitions. Things Fall Apart was published in which year? Things Fall Apart was published in which year? No. None. No name was given. I tricked you with the options. Things Fall Apart was published in 1958. 1958. Okay. His chi did not have any name. So it was a trick question. Which play of Wole Soyinka revolves around the conflict between the megalomaniac king Ellesine Oba and the district officer Pilkins? Death and the King's Horseman. Death and the King's Horseman. Death and the King's Horseman. First performed in 1975. First performed in 1975. It's a play by Wole Soyinka that revolves around the conflict between the megalomaniac king Ellesine Oba and the district officer Pilkins. Okay. Tell me, what is the subtitle of Ngugi wa Thiong'o's Decolonizing the Mind? Subtitle of Ngugi wa Thiong'o's Decolonizing the Mind. The Politics of Language in African Literature. Ngugi wa Thiong'o's seminal 1986 collection of essays, Decolonizing the Mind. It is subtitled The Politics of Language in African Literature. In this essay collection, Ngugi wa Thiong'o famously advocates for the use of indigenous African languages to reclaim cultural identity and break free from colonial legacies. Okay, so decolonizing the mind, the politics of language in African literature. Right, okay. Next, tell me, is Nadine Gordimer a South African author? Yes. Which Nadine Gordimer novel was banned in South Africa for its portrayal of an interracial love affair? Which novel of Nadine Gordimer was banned in South Africa for its portrayal of an interracial love affair? It is. Isn't it Occasion for Loving? I think I typed the options wrong. Sorry, I typed the options wrong. It is Occasion for Loving. Occasion for Loving. The Nathan Gordimer novel, famously banned by the South African apartheid government for its portrayal of an interracial love affair, is Occasion for Loving, 1963. Set in Johannesburg during the 1960s, the novel explores the forbidden romance between a white woman, Anne Davis, and a black artist, Gideon Shibalo. So it is Occasion for Loving. Nathan Gordimer novel banned in South Africa for its portrayal of an interracial love affair. This Occasion for Loving, 1963. 1963. Okay. Which author's work was termed Afro-pessimism due to its depiction of a despairing, corrupt, post-independence Ghana in The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born? It is by Aekwe Arma. Aekwe Arma, who wrote The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. The Beautiful Ones Are Not Yet Born. It shows a despairing, corrupt, post-independence Ghana. J.M. Coetzee got the Booker Prize twice. So he got the Booker Prize twice for which novels? Life and Times of Michael K. and Disgrace. Life and Times of Michael K. and Disgrace. Tell me, Life and Times of Michael K. was published in which year? Life and Times of Michael K. 1983. 1983. And Disgrace by J.M. Coetzee was published in 1999. Disgrace, 1999. Okay, right. Next, tell me. Yes. Which Nigerian-born British author wrote the Booker Prize-winning novel Girl, Woman, Other? Which Nigerian-born British author wrote the Booker Prize-winning novel Girl, Woman, Other? Girl, Woman, Other. Bernardine Evaristo. Bernardine Evaristo. Bernardine Evaristo. Why are you all saying B? It is A. Bernardine Evaristo. It's a very popular work. Born in London to a Nigerian father and a British mother, Bernardine Evaristo made history as the first Black woman to get the prestigious Booker Prize. Bernardine Evaristo. Yes. Joint winner with Margaret Atwood. That's correct. The essay, African Writer in the English Language, was written by whom? The essay, The African Writer and the English Language, was written by whom? Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe. Buchi Emecheta's novel, The Joys of Motherhood, is primarily set in which Nigerian city? Buchi Emecheta's novel, The Joys of Motherhood, is primarily set in which Nigerian city? Lagos, Nigeria. Lagos. Option C. Option C. Which literary movement originated in Paris in the 1930s, involving writers like Amy Césaire and Leopold Sédar Senghor? Negritude. Negritude. Okay. Do you remember the author Bessie Head? Bessie Head. Right. They were also banned. But the idea of that question was which work talks about an interracial love affair? Okay. Bessie Head's A Question of Power is set in which country? Botswana. 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 Okay. In Jem Coetzee's Waiting for the Barbarians, who is the narrator of the novel? In Jem Coetzee's Waiting for the Barbarians, who is the narrator of the novel? Who is the narrator of the novel? The magistrate. The magistrate. Which Nigerian author wrote Half of a Yellow Sun? Which Nigerian author wrote Half of a Yellow Sun? Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. It was published in 2006, right? Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. All right. Okay. Next, tell me. We had done this question once in our crash course. Let's see if you remember this. Which Canadian author coined the concept of the garrison mentality in Canadian literature in her critical work, Survival, a thematic guide to Canadian literature? In his. Yes, Survival, a thematic guide to Canadian literature is by Northrop Frye. What I'm saying. Atwood. Sometimes I feel like I should stay away from the options. Even I get confused at times looking at the options. Survival, a thematic guide to Canadian literature is by Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood. In Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, what is the name of the totalitarian republic that has replaced the US? Gilead. Gilead. In Alice Munro's Lives of Girls and Women, what is the name of the fictional small town in Ontario where the protagonist grows up? Alice Munro, major short story writer from Canada. Jubilee. Jubilee. In Alice Munro's coming of age novel, protagonist Del Jordan grows up in the fictional small town of Jubilee, Ontario. Jubilee, Ontario. Okay. What is the subtitle of Margaret Lawrence's novel, The Stone Angel? What is the subtitle of Margaret Lawrence's novel, The Stone Angel? A novel. A novel. The Stone Angel, a novel. Who wrote the work, The Ecstasy of Rita Jo? The Ecstasy of Rita Jo. George Raiga. George Raiga. The Ecstasy of Rita Jo is a popular Canadian play. It was written by George Raiga. George Raiga. Okay. What is the central metaphor used by Northrop Frye to Describe the distinct Canadian literary tradition. B. The Bush Garden. In his influential 1971 collection of essays, The Bush Garden, Essays on the Canadian Imagination, Nota Fry explored the distinct themes of Canadian literature. It is The Bush Garden. The Bush Garden. Leonard Cohen's novel, Beautiful Losers, is heavily set in which Canadian province? Beautiful Losers by Leonard Cohen. Survival, that book, Survival, a thematic guide to Canadian literature. That one by Atwood. It is Quebec. B. Quebec. Leonard Cohen's novel, Beautiful Losers, is heavily set in Quebec. Quebec. Yeah. In which novel by Michael Ondaatje does the protagonist find himself meticulously caring for a severely burned English patient in an Italian villa? Yeah, it is the English patient. In this 1992 Booker Prize winning novel, The English Patient, a severely burned, unidentified man is cared for by a young Canadian nurse called Hannah in an abandoned Italian villa during the final days of World War II. The English Patient, 1992. Yeah. Popularized by Atwood, yes. Fry also talked about garrison mentality. They both actually talked about it. But since the question already mentions the work Survival, a thematic guide to Canadian literature, so it will obviously by Atwood. Yeah. M.G. Vasanji is the Book of Secrets won the Giller Prize. The novel is predominantly framed around a diary kept in which region? M.G. Vasanji is the Book of Secrets. It got the Giller Prize. The novel is predominantly framed around a diary kept in German East Africa. German East Africa. B. B. Okay. Who wrote the groundbreaking, multi-perspective indigenous novel Monkey Beach? Monkey Beach. It's a novel by whom? Eden Robinson. B. Eden Robinson. Eden Robinson. Correct. The poetry movement, the Confederation Poets in Canada, included all of the following except dash. Included all of the following except dash. D. E.J. Pratt. E.J. Pratt. Look at the explanation. It's there in Wikipedia only. It's there in Wikipedia only. While Charles G.D. Roberts, Bliss Carman, and Archibald Lampman are core members of the Confederation Poets, a group of late 19th century Canadian writers inspired by nature and Confederation, E.J. Pratt was a 20th century writer considered the pioneer of Canadian modernist poetry. I read a bit fast because we have so much to cover. So please remember, E.J. Pratt was not a member of the Confederation Group of Poets of Canada. He came later. Right. So please remember this group of the Confederation Poets in Canada. In Robertson Davis's Fifth Business, what is the actual name of the character universally known as Boyce Staunton? Percy Boyd Staunton. Percy Boyd Staunton, option A. So who wrote the dystopian sci-fi novel Oryx and Crake? Who wrote the dystopian sci-fi novel Oryx and Crake? Atwood. Atwood. Which Canadian author is famous for popularizing the phrase, the medium is the massage? Yes, correct. You all know this from your sessions of cultural studies. It is Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan is famous for popularizing the phrase, the medium is the massage. Right. The Diviners by Margaret Lawrence concludes a series of novels known as Manawaka series. Manawaka series. Manawaka. In Ian Martel's Life of Pi, what is the name of the Bengal tiger that shares the lifeboat with Pi? Very cute question. Richard Parker. Richard Parker. Okay. Which prominent Canadian Indigenous author wrote the work Green Grass, Running Water? I gave the silly options intentionally because, yeah, because the idea is to make you guys remember. That's why I said orange juice, the options. I mean, it's fun to give options like this. Yeah. Green Grass, Running Water is by Thomas King. I couldn't think of anything else, so I wrote juice. Yeah. I mean, it's fun actually. Yeah. Yes, chimpanzee, correct. So Green Grass, Running Water is by Thomas King. Okay. Chalo. E.J. Pratt's narrative poem Towards the Last Spike details the construction of which monumental project? E.J. Pratt's narrative poem Towards the Last Spike details the construction of which monumental project? The Canadian Pacific Railway. B. B. The Canadian Pacific Railway. The Canadian Pacific Railway. Okay. Which Indigenous Canadian writer is celebrated for the novel In Search of April Rain Tree? In Search of April Rain Tree. It's a novel by Beatrice Culleton. Beatrice Culleton. What is the subtitle of Susanna Moody's autobiographical work, Roughing It in the Bush? Subtitle of Susanna Moody's autobiographical work, Roughing It in the Bush. Roughing It in the Bush. Or Forest Life in Canada. Or Forest Life in Canada. Okay. The term group of seven in Canadian cultural history, it refers to a group of what? The term group of seven in Canadian cultural history, it refers to a group of painters. The group of seven was a legendary collective of Canadian landscape painters, active primarily from 1920 to 33. They were painters. Okay, they were landscape painters. Okay. Who wrote Obasan? Who wrote Obasan? Joy Kogawa. Joy Kogawa. In Joy Kogawa's, the narrative centers around the historical mistreatment and internment of which marginalized group. In Joy Kogawa's Obasan, the narrative centers around the historical mistreatment and internment of which marginalized group. Japanese Canadians. Japanese Canadians. Who wrote the poetry collection, The Circle Game? Who wrote the poetry collection, The Circle Game? Margaret Atwood. Margaret Atwood. Who wrote the postmodern Canadian novel, The Wars? Wars. Yudh, The Wars. Who wrote the postmodern Canadian novel, The Wars? Timothy Findley. The postmodern Canadian novel, The Wars, is by Timothy Findley. Timothy Findley. Anne of Green Gables is located on which Canadian island? Anne of Green Gables is located on which Canadian island? Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island. Which of the following is a classic play by Michael Tremblay, originally written in Joual? Read some language. Les Belles Sources, I think. That's how it is pronounced. I don't know the exact pronunciation. It is Les Belles Sources. Les Belles Sources. Option A. The concept of fictionalized memoirs and autofiction is highly characteristic of the works of which Canadian author? The concept of fictionalized memoirs and autofiction is highly characteristic of the works of which Canadian author? Fictionalized memoirs and autofiction. Sheila Watson. Sheila Watson. The concept of fictionalized memoirs and autofiction is highly characteristic of the works of Sheila Hathi or Sheila Watson. She is an award-winning Toronto-based writer, widely celebrated for pioneering and popularizing this genre in contemporary Canadian literature through acclaimed works like How Should a Person Be and Motherhood. Yeah. Sheila Hathi or Sheila Watson? I got this question after researching a lot from various exams, various papers, and all. So that you remember these names. The concept of fictionalized memoirs and autofiction is highly characteristic of the works of Sheila Hathi. She is an award-winning Toronto-based writer, widely celebrated for pioneering and popularizing this genre in contemporary Canadian literature through acclaimed works like How Should a Person Be and Motherhood. Okay. Next. Yeah, same. Both are same. Orenda by Joseph Boyden focuses on historical conflicts between which two indigenous nations and the French. The Orenda by Joseph Boyden. Huron and Iroquois. Huron and the Iroquois. Sometimes I just feel angry with myself for being like this. Why did I make these questions? Joseph Boyden's novel, The Orenda, is set in 17th century North America and explores the brutal conflicts and cultural clashes between the French, the Huron nation, and their historic rivals, the Iroquois. Okay. Who wrote the short story collection Dance of the Happy Shades? Who wrote the short story collection Dance of the Happy Shades? Alice Munro. Alice Munro. Right. Are you all getting tired? Just 24 minutes more. Then I will stop. Okay. Because we can't do anything now. We have to finish these portions. Yeah. Just 24 minutes more. Which foundational Canadian text was written by Francis Brooke and published in 1769? The History of Emily Montague. The History of Emily Montague. Correct. Now we will do Australian. Australian. We're almost done. We're very close. Sit tight. Which of the following poems by Judith Wright famously criticizes the foundational premise of Australian history, being devoid of native songs and architecture? Which of the following poems of Judith Wright famously criticizes the foundational premise of Australian history, being devoid of native songs and architecture? Australia. Australia. Udgeru Nunukal was previously known by what colonial name? Udgeru Nunukal was previously known by which colonial name? Udgeru Nunukal. Udgeru Nunukal. Cat Walker. Cat Walker. Yes. Correct. Cat Walker. Tell me, who wrote Was? Who wrote Was? Patrick White. In Patrick White's Was, what is the nationality of the explorer based on? German. German. Was published in which year? Was by Patrick White was published in 1957. 1957. Same year as the publication of Northrop Frye's Anatomy of Criticism. Same year as Northrop Frye's Anatomy of Criticism. In Patrick White's Was, what is the nationality of the explorer based on? Who is the protagonist of the novel? Yeah. The use of literature, that's also correct, yes. Okay. My Place is an autobiographical work by? My Place is an autobiographical work by Sally Morgan. Sally Morgan. My Place was published in 1987. 1987. Who wrote the classic ballad, The Man from Snowy River? Who wrote the classic ballad, The Man from Snowy River? Who wrote the classic ballad, The Man from Snowy River? A.B. Banjo Patterson. A.B. Banjo Patterson. Peter Carey's Booker Prize winning novel, Oscar and Lucinda, revolves around a bet involving what? Funny question. Peter Carey's Booker Prize winning novel, Oscar and Lucinda. It revolves around a bet involving what? A glass church. A glass church. A glass church. The two eccentric main characters, Oscar Hopkins and Lucinda Leplastrier, share a mutual compulsion for gambling. Lucinda challenges Oscar with her entire fortune, betting that he cannot successfully transport a prefabricated glass church from Sydney to a remote Australian settlement in Bellingen by Good Friday. A glass church. Oscar and Lucinda was published in which year? Oscar and Lucinda by Peter Carey was published in 1988. 1988. 1988. Okay. Who is the author of the epic indigenous novel Carpentaria, which won the Miles Franklin Award? Carpentaria. It got the Miles Franklin Award. It's by Alexis Wright. Alexis Wright. Which Australian author coined the term the Great Australian Silence to describe the omission of Indigenous history in Australian historiography? Which Australian author coined the term the Great Australian Silence? W.E.H. Stanner. W.E.H. Stanner. W.E.H. Stanner. The Australian literary movement, Jindi Vorobak, sought to integrate what into Australian poetry? Indigenous Australian imagery and values. Indigenous Australian imagery and values. David Malouf's An Imaginary Life is a fictionalized account of which Roman poet's exile? Ovid. Ovid, correct. David Malouf's An Imaginary Life. It's a fictionalized account of the exile of the Roman poet Ovid. Roman poet Ovid. So, An Imaginary Life by David Malouf was published in which year? 1978. 1978. It talks about the exile of the Roman poet Ovid. In Miles Franklin's My Brilliant Career, what is the name of the protagonist who aspires to be a writer? Who aspires to be a writer? A. Sibylla Melvin. Sibylla Melvin. Who wrote the novel The Tree of Man? The Tree of Man. That's a novel by Patrick White. The Tree of Man, published in 1955. The Tree of Man, 1955. Correct. Who wrote the play The Cherry Pickers? The Cherry Pickers is a play by whom? The Cherry Pickers is a play by whom? Correct. The Cherry Pickers is a play by Kevin Gilbert. Kevin Gilbert. In Benang from the Heart, author Kim Scott writes about the survival and history of which Indigenous Australian group? Please remember, Kim Scott is a major Indigenous Australian author. Kim Scott is a major Australian Indigenous author. In Benang from the Heart, author Kim Scott writes about the survival and history of the Noongar people. The Noongar people. Option A. The stolen generations of Australia refers to what? The stolen generations of Australia. It refers to what? The stolen generations of Australia. It refers to what? Indigenous children forcibly removed from their families. Indigenous children forcibly removed from their families. Which of these novels by Thomas Keneally tells the story of Oscar Schindler? Which of these novels by Thomas Keneally tells the story of Oscar Schindler? Schindler's Ark. Schindler's Ark. Published in 1982 by Thomas Keneally, Schindler's Ark is an example of historical fiction which chronicles the true story of Oskar Schindler. He was a German industrialist and Nazi party member who risked his life and fortune to save roughly 1,200 Jews from concentration camps during the Holocaust. Okay? Right. So Schindler's Ark by Thomas Keneally. Okay. Yes, Samprit, just 14 more minutes. I have to finish it. I cannot help it. Because from tomorrow, there will be new portions and new areas. If I stop it, these portions will remain like this, half done. In Henry Lawson's short story, the Drover's Wife, what animal acts as the main threat to the family? What animal acts as the main threat to the family? A venomous snake. A snake. Who wrote The Fortunes of Richard Mahoney? Who wrote The Fortunes of Richard Mahoney? The Fortunes of Richard Mahoney. It is by Henry Handel Richardson. Henry Handel Richardson. Okay. What is the central motive in Alexis Wright's novel, The Swan Book? Central motive in Alexis Wright's novel, The Swan Book. Climate change and the displacement of indigenous communities. Climate change and the displacement of indigenous communities. That's what the Swan Book by Alexis Wright talks about. In Thomas Keneally's The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, what real life historical event inspired the novel's violence? In Thomas Keneally's The Chant of Jimmy Blacksmith, what real life historical event inspired the novel's violence? The Jimmy Governor murders. The Jimmy Governor murders. Do you remember the indigenous author Jack Davis? Jack Davis, the indigenous author. Jack Davis. Yeah. Yes, yes. What is the name of the protagonist in Jack Davis's play, The Dreamers? The Dreamers is a play by Jack Davis. There, the protagonist is Woru. In Jack Davis's celebrated play, The Dreamers, Uncle Woru is the aging Aboriginal patriarch and protagonist who contrasts the hopelessness and cultural loss of his younger family members with a spiritual connection to Nuga culture and dreaming. So please remember The Dreamers. It's a very popular play by Jack Davis. Okay, I'm really feeling very, what to say, very sympathetic for you guys, but I can't stop. I'm really sorry. If I stop, it would stay unfinished. The 1967 Australian referendum was a watershed moment that did what for Indigenous Australians? Allowed them to be counted in the census and allowed the Commonwealth to make laws for them. Who wrote The Getting of Wisdom? Who wrote the book The Getting of Wisdom? The Getting of Wisdom is a work by whom? Henry Handel Richardson. Henry Handel Richardson. Yes, 10 more minutes. Which Australian poet wrote The Harbour Bridge? The Harbour Bridge, and is known for his distinctly Australian vernacular poetry. The Harbour Bridge is a poem by whom? C.J. Dennis. C.J. Dennis. In Peter Carey's The History of the Kelly Gang, the narrative is presented as what? Yeah. In Peter Carey's A True History of the Kelly Gang, the narrative has been presented to us as what? A series of packets or letters written by the outlaw himself. A True History of the Kelly Gang was published in which year? True History of the Kelly Gang was published in which year by Peter Carey? 2000. 2000, that's correct. Which of the following is a memoir by the Australian author, Indigenous Australian author, Doris Pilkington Garimara, about the stolen generations? Easy question. Which of the following is a memoir by Indigenous Australian author Doris Pilkington Garimara about the stolen generations? Follow the rabbit-proof fence. Follow the rabbit-proof fence. Please read this explanation because once they have asked statement-based question from this work. Published in 1996, acclaimed memoir by Indigenous Australian author Doris Pilkington Garimara documents the true story of three young Aboriginal girls who were forcibly separated from their families and escaped from the Moore River native settlement to trek 1,600 kilometers back to their homeland. Right. The Harp in the South is a famous Australian novel by whom? The Harp in the South is a famous Australian novel by whom? Ruth Park. The Harp in the South is by Ruth Park. Who wrote the verse novel Such is Life? Who wrote the verse novel Such is Life? Joseph Furphy. Joseph Furphy. The terra nullius legal doctrine in Australia meant what? The terra nullius legal doctrine in Australia meant what? That the land was legally deemed as empty and belonging to no one prior to British settlement. Option A. Which Australian poet and critic wrote the iconic satirical poem Australia? Easy. Who wrote the satirical poem Australia? A.D. Hope. A.D. Hope. Okay. We just have 6 more minutes. After that, I will end the session. And I will just do a few questions from New Zealand literatures, bus. I can't even read. I'm feeling breathless. The Garden Party is a short story by whom? The Garden Party is a short story by whom? Catherine Mansfield. Catherine Mansfield. Okay. Who wrote the novel Station Life in New Zealand? Station Life in New Zealand. Lady Barker. Lady Barker. Which early New Zealand writer is famous for the novel The Green Stone Door? William Sashel. William Sashel. Five more minutes. Who wrote the foundational picaresque novel, The Man Who Loved Children? Robin Hyde. God's, what is this question? Where even did I get this question from? Okay. Some questions are so weird, I don't even know where I got this from. Yeah, forget this question. I copy pasted the wrong question from the Word document. Forget it. I'm deleting this. Wait. Just forget this. I opened the wrong Word document. That's the problem. In hurry, I opened the wrong Word document. Yeah. I opened the wrong Word document by mistake. Who is the author of the poem Pause, which begins with the line, "Are you not glad we're not always here?" Author of the poem Pause. Mary Ursula Bethel. Mary Ursula Bethel. Which New Zealand poet wrote the skeleton of the great Moa in the Canterbury Museum? Which New Zealand poet wrote the skeleton of the great Moa in the Canterbury Museum? Alan Carnot. Alan Carnot. Alan Carnot. Dennis Glover established which famous private press? Dennis Glover. The Caxton Press. The Caxton Press. R.A.K. Mason's first book of poetry, published in 1924 when he was just 20, is titled what? R.A.K. Mason's first book of poetry. The Beggar. The Beggar. Why there's still so many? Who wrote The Bone People? Tell me. Which Carrie Hume novel got the 1985 Booker Prize? The Bone People. The Bone People. Carrie Hume novel which got the 1985 Booker Prize. The Bone People. The Bone People, right. Okay. Let's stop. It's 10 already. All right, guys. So I will stop the live now. So all those who are watching on YouTube, take care. Good night. Bye. I hope you all like the session. I will stop the live now.